This episode of Designers Are the Worst is brought to you by Airport Food. For when you're already feeling like a hot bag of garbage, why not go down on some airport sushi to give your next flight the stomach turbulence it deserves? Let's board the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Designers Are the Worst, your new least favorite show about an exclusively visual medium, cleverly brought to you in audio format.
Brought to you by Matt. For
I
Matt.
was trying to think of
Fubu.
something to say other than Matt, and I was like,
Because you brought it up last week, then
Yep.
now it's a thing.
Now it's canon.
Yeah.
It's part of our lore.
So you are Matt. I am
Allegedly.
Marcus,
Yep.
and we make
Together, we are what were the Power Twins? Was that a cartoon?
Wonder Twins.
Wonder Twins.
Yeah.
Did they have rings they put together? And
Yeah,
turned into
and they said
animals?
Wonder Twins activate.
All right, so we're like that. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Except I'm not wearing a ring. You
That's
are.
right, ladies. He's on the market. He's on the Marcus.
Wait, what? I'm on myself.
Yep.
It's self-reflection time.
Yeah, it's a boner ring. Thanks for listening to another thing that we are making. We've still not heard a word from Limerick, Ireland in our email. Again,
Did the stats go up? Did we look?
we got more subscribers. We went up by 16 subscribers. We did get one listen from Limerick in the last week.
That's
and
it?
It was the new episode
Just one.
where we pleaded with them, Lord God, email us at designersartheworst@gmail.com and just say hi from Limerick.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's a magical place, but it's probably just normal. But yeah, if you're from Limerick, if you're from Limerick and you're not listening, email too.
Or if you know a good limerick and want to send that in,
Yeah.
feel free
that
to
to-
email that email.
Marcus Farrell 69 at
Underscore.
RedTube.
There's an
How
underscore.
do you? Oh yeah, the undergooch.
RedTube? Is
I don't
that what you
know.
said?
Is that a porno thing?
It sounds like a YouTube competitor,
I don't know. I
but
don't know
for
much
reading.
about- I have a 16, almost 17-year-old kid. If I want to know about internet porn, I'll go knock on his door because you gotta knock
Because
because of the
those
porno.
sheets are crispy.
Oh, they're like, what's a cracker? Wassa? It's a weird cracker.
You have all the stone wheat thins. What are the other ones? Breton's a brand. Stone wheat thins. Premium Plus. That's what I was thinking.
That's the
You went with
utility
Wassa.
cracker. Yeah. I said cractor, like a tractor. Holy fuck. It feels like it's been a really long day, but nothing really happened. It's just like I'm really excited about the end of the day.
Yeah,
I'm excited to watch skateboarding on my iPad while my wife sleeps beside me and nothing else happens.
Right. I'm actually running on fumes at the moment
Yeah.
because I did a 24-hour stint down in the Silicon Valley.
I made a note. I wanted to bring up that I can prove it that you said San Fran in a text.
Did I say San Fran in the text?
San Fran.
I don't usually do that.
The reason I know is because I immediately wrote it down. I was like, it's like an intervention.
It's not often I go there anymore. But we weren't actually in San Francisco. We were in Redwood City, which is south. So it's between like San Francisco and Palo Alto. So it's just suburbs, and that's it.
What happened? What'd you go there for?
To meet a client and to look at some of their stuff that they're making, some drone stuff, which was kind of creepy because it's like Terminator level.
Yeah.
Drones. They already have a product out, and it's
Yeah.
it's basically a drone that you can launch out of your hand, like Spider-Man. Launch from your hand.
Like
they're-
Spider-Man's drone.
Yeah. So their current existing product, you can. It's a drone that you launch from your hand, and then it can track you, like humans or cars or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can program it to like track me, and then you can set it to like follow you or lead in front of you, and it takes stabilized video.
Weird.
And so the examples that the site shows is people driving a car around a track, and it follows because it can go.
Yeah.
I think the current version goes up to 24 miles an hour, 30 something, and the new
pretty
one's
quick.
going to go more. But it's sweet because you can just have it track you, and then you get some really professional shots
Yeah.
without needing to pay somebody to fly a drone.
Good news, photographers that all bought drones.
Yeah.
Keep your receipts.
I was really glad we actually weren't in San Francisco because that place stinks.
Literally?
Yeah, the downtown just smells like piss everywhere. And apparently they've got a real problem with people pooping and peeping.
Peep and pooping and peeping?
Poops and peeps.
Poops and peeps.
Because the homeless situation is so intense there. Because the city itself clearly has no money to help people out.
Oh no, it's
That's
a desperate town.
I think they made it not illegal to poop in public because it was just happening.
So you might as well just give in to the masses and say,
Yeah. So there's,
just drop it.
from what I understand, there's groups that will organize and go around. Like, you know how we have beach cleanup here?
No.
So there's like the surfer,
The surf rider.
surf riders. They do like beach cleanups, and you're like, great. Well, in San Francisco, there's poo cleanups where they organize groups and go clean up human shit. It's a
the fuck?
city on the rise. Yeah.
No wonder they lost the basketball thing. The game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. City. Well, it was in Oakland, but
That's true.
looking at a map, it's really close. It's like
they're-
one finger away.
But they're moving now. I think they're moving into the city.
Yeah, they're going to San Francisco. They're
That's a big mistake.
going to be in the, I don't know, Dropbox Arena or something.
Probably
Something new.
the Google.
The Guggenheim.
Yeah.
Well, San Fran sounds good.
Yep. So, anyways, yeah, I've been on flying, so I'm very tired right now.
Well,
So if my participation is low,
it's a free show. If our participation is low, it's
if I
a free
fall
show.
asleep during the show, take it away.
Pooping and peeping. So something struck me after editing the last episode, and the title for the Jerry King cartoon, "Fuck You, Jerry King," I
Yeah.
feel is a little harsh and unimaginative, and I wanted to come up with a new one.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, if you haven't looked up his cartoons out there, if you're listening, he's awful. He's horrifying. His drawings are terrible, and he draws every played out, stupid, Comic Sans laden cliche ever attributed to design, primarily website design, and he still thinks that all these things are big deals. So,
what about like your kids are disappointed in you, Jerry King? Something that really hits hard.
he'd have to
at
have
home.
kids.
Okay, your parents are very disappointed about you from beyond the grave, Jerry King.
That one might be a little wordy. But yeah, if at any point, hey, if you're listening and you have a good idea for the name,
What if we just boo him?
boo, sir.
Yeah, or I said good day, Jerry King.
Yeah. These are all pretty good.
What? Jerry King?
No, Queen. That's a fun one. It's a modern joke, but I flipped it like a bad old comedian. George Carlin, he wasn't very good.
He was good.
If you listen to him now, like at the time,
Okay,
it was
well,
good.
yeah, a lot of things are good at the time and not so good now.
Yeah, Cosby Show. That Rudy just rubs me the wrong way now. Can't stand her.
But she was Raven Simone.
Rudy? No, that was Olivia.
Oh, my apologies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Apology 1.
Hey, OJ's on Twitter now. Should we talk about that?
Yeah, he said he has a lot of people to get even with.
I can't wait to see who he murders next.
But it was like 3 days after the 25th anniversary of the what he probably considers is the Goldman Brown suicide pact or whatever. Like a few days after, when all the families and all that were like, hey, this sucks, they're still dead. He's like, good news, everybody, I'm playing golf and I'm getting even.
Here's the theory I have. They're going to reboot the Naked Gun series, and he's looking to re-up his role.
Juice is going to get loose. That was a funny scene, even though he wasn't technically in it when he was in the wheelchair going down the stadium stairs.
Oh, that was great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Man, he shouldn't have killed those people. He would still be a national treasure.
Let's just remember the good times.
Yeah. See, in Canada, we're polite, and our national treasures, we ignore their murders, like Michael J. Fox, Mike Myers, and Alex Trebek.
So many murders.
All noted murderers, and pardoned by Lord Trudeau.
Fun fact, if you lose Jeopardy, Alex Trebek murders you.
Yep. Or one person of your choosing, but they have to be a blood relative.
I've heard that.
Yep, it's true.
And then he drinks the blood.
Then he does other stuff.
That's how he gains power and lives forever.
Other thing we're doing now, show playlists.
Right. So we have a thing called a playlist.
It's a new thing.
It's coming to you broadcasting in full audio format on iTunes or Apple Music now.
Thank you.
Because they shot iTunes in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And
Lost Jeopardy.
Spotify.
Yes, Spotify.
So at least on Spotify, if you search "Designers Are the Worst," that should come up.
Yeah, and the podcast is on there too.
But we just called it "Designers Are the Worst," the playlist.
Yeah, and that's
we're
good stuff.
So original.
Well, we spend our days trying to be original. Why would we do it in the evening?
Right.
It's hard.
What would you describe the playlist as?
My thought was it's essentially the combination of whatever you and I have been listening to since the last episode.
Right.
So it's just
it's
good crap, bad crap, depending on what kind of crap you like.
Yeah. So there's no order to it at all either.
No.
It's not curated like, oh, first I want to lead in with this track. It's just, no, this is songs.
No, you will disappoint everybody at the rave with this one. We don't care about, what do they do?
At raves?
Yeah. The EDM, whatever.
Shoot Nerf guns at each other.
Lego helmets and stuff. But what do they get everyone's like they increase the tempo up to a point where all the molly kicks in and everyone starts screwing or something?
Oh,
I've never been to a rave.
I thought you were like trying to describe the term dropping the beat.
No.
They build up and and then they do something and everybody goes crazy.
And then Skrillex shows up
and
does what he does.
Is Molly the drug that people do?
I think it's ecstasy. Fuck. We're so cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The playlist isn't whatever we were just talking about. It's a combination of crap we've been listening to that has been fun for the last 2 weeks, and we'll...
Yeah, like what's... if I look on there right now, so far it's a mix of... Looks like some punk.
Hey.
A little bit of hip hop music.
Ah, that's rap.
I'm curious. I haven't listened to your list, but Cobra Man has me interested.
Cobra Man is great. I think it's a husband and wife. They're friends with a skate company called The Warble.
Okay.
And they put out, I think, 2 or 3 videos in the last few years. Go to thrashermagazine.com and look up The Warble. They're super fun skate videos. It's 3 brothers. I think their last name's Mull, M-U-L-L. And they just, one of them, like, he basically like skates campground shit, like off of trees into like dirt hills. And yeah, they just like, they're on their own trip.
Pretty sure that's a Tony Hawk level.
And they have Man Ramp, which is a guy that wears full construction gear, and he just holds pieces of wood, and they and they do like wall rides.
Okay, so when you said Man Ramp,
yeah,
in my head, that's the far-fetched version that I envision, not thinking that that's because usually when people say stuff with their mouths, I immediately picture the most ridiculous thing and I laughed about it to myself. The reality is never that.
No,
so what
here,
you're saying
I'm going
is,
to bring it up.
So what you're saying is man ramp is like a canoe head from years ago where he's actually as descriptive as possible.
Yeah. Essentially. All right. So,
The Warble's man ramp teaser.
all right. So we're going to listen
Introducing the all-new GMC Terrain.
Yes.
Commercials. SUV that's as smart as it is
Hey, do you have a
capable.
Terrain?
Smart all-wheel drive that's ready for virtually any
do.
road.
All right. Well, we can skip that. You're
I
not
don't-
buying it. All right, this is only 35 seconds. It's a trailer for the Man Ramp, and this is Cobra Man. This song is called Man Ramp, I think. Man Ramp. Man Ramp can fucking crush it. Man Ramp.
I'm really
Look,
enjoying this.
they did like a full 3-minute video with Man Ramp. Look, kickflip. There you go.
Is he an actual skateboarder or is he just a guy that
He
just
skates.
literally a man ramp, a ramp made from man?
He skates. He's like one of their buddies, and every year in Montreal they do the Dime Invitational. Dime's like a skate kind of crew out of Montreal. It's become like pretty big.
Yeah.
Like gnarly competitions, like the funnest competitions that anybody's doing in skateboarding. But last year, because of Man Ramp's notoriety, Man Ramp was there, and I believe people were skating him. So go and watch the video. We'll post a link up at worstdesignshow.com, but it's literally a man in overalls and a hard hat and a mustache holding a piece of wood while people skateboard on him.
I think
It sounds stupid.
it is.
It's great.
But if you see it, and I think we should definitely add the audio.
Yeah. Oh, it's recorded. It's done.
Hot diggity
I
down.
figured it out.
So people get to enjoy the audio at the same time.
Yeah. So that's Cobra Man.
That's fantastic.
So Cobra Man, their 2 albums, the last one I think is called New Driveway. I think each of them are the title of the skate video. So they do the entire music for the skate video.
Yeah.
And that's how I found Cobra Man. And
Well,
Cobra
that's fun.
Man's a treasure.
It's just a good name though.
It is a good name. And it's the music.
Well, Cobra Man and Man Ramp. Like,
and Cobra Man Ramp.
yeah.
That's
It's
that's a clever portman too.
It sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
On the topic of finding interesting things and sharing, chatting with a coworker of mine, she for some reason went down this data rabbit hole about hot dog statistics, and apparently
That's
the
fair.
average American eats 70 hot dogs a year, and you think, oh, that's a lot.
Not really.
It's a lot for a human. Because consider that Joey Chestnut just recently
The
ate.
fuck is Joey Chestnut?
It's a human, not as good as Man Ramp.
I only recognize Kobayashi in the hot dog game.
So Joey Chestnut wins all the Coney Island hot dog eating competitions.
Okay.
In 2018, he ate 74 hot dogs in 10 minutes. That's bun included. So he's a piece of shit. Because that's just not human. I don't know what you are. So anyways, he ate just 4 hot dogs more than the average American eats in a year. So
Yeah.
that sparked our curiosity, and so I stopped working altogether.
Well,
It's
you're
like,
done work.
We need to investigate what that means, what data they're accounting for, and so found out some more figures that at Major League Baseball games over the year, Americans consume about 18 million hot dogs over the year at baseball games. So that's where a lot of the hot dog eating comes from. It's a very American thing.
So if you go to a Giants game and leave and you walk around the streets of San Francisco and there are piles of shit everywhere, there's a decent chance that's a giant dog.
those are just hot dogs. Now, so here's where it gets interesting, is what that led to. No, believe me, this is where the
I'm
fun,
enjoying it.
this is where the fun starts or stops, depending on your enjoyment. So, you and I both don't eat traditional hot dogs.
Vegetable hot dogs.
We eat
is
vegetable
what
hot
we
dogs,
dine on.
carrots. Just grill up the carrot and throw it in a bun.
Boiled, grilled, dehydrated. masticated.
So this is particularly interesting to me because I maybe eat, I don't know, maybe if I'm being honest, 10 hot dogs a year.
See, in my house, we eat a shit ton of veggie dogs because we'll get home, because we have 3 kids. So it's we get home from work, we have 20 minutes before we are leaving to do something else.
Right.
So it's just like veggie dog, everybody activate, and here's some other crap, whatever on the side. So the family packs, I think there's 12 in them. We go through probably 5 or 6 of those a month.
Is it the Eves?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you, okay, so side note.
Hot dog.
Hot dogs coming up. When did you start eating veggie dogs?
First of all, that's a pretty good title for the episode. Hot dogs coming up. What?
When did you first start eating a veggie dog or a tofu dog?
When I stopped eating meat 12-ish years ago.
So probably at the time, the flavor wasn't where it's at today. Because I remember as a kid, we had some family friends who were vegetarian at the time, which was confusing to me as a child. But I remember trying a tofu dog at the time, and they were revolting.
Yeah. Things taste relatively like it's something you'd want to eat now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The texture is fine.
You don't have to go to the health food store in the weird part of town.
Feel
talk
judged.
to the guy in the brown linen pants and get your weird sawdust shit. No, we get so hot dogs. So that's 6. What'd you say? 74 hot dogs a year?
70 on average.
Yeah, so that's 6 hot dogs a month. With ball games in there, that's a lot of hot dogs.
Yeah.
Hot dog potential anyway.
Yeah. So where all this stats and stuff ended up taking us was to realize that there is actually an organization in the States called the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council.
The fact that it's a council is a delight.
So what I'd like you to do, and if you're listening at home and near your computer, I'd like you to do this too, is go to hot-dog.org.
All right, I'm going to bring it up right now.
And there is a link on it that I would like you to navigate to watch a video. And I will not give you any spoilers to what you will encounter. Because it's great.
Okay, we're at hot-dog.org. Now, where am I at?
Okay, so...
Oh, wait. First of all, the navigation is amazing. Media, sausage basics, culture, hot dog restaurants.
There is under media. You can go into a photo gallery.
Yeah. I'm navigating the shit out of this. Regional, traditional, or historic.
Yeah, so you can get pictures of hot dogs. You look at black and white photos of people eating hot dogs.
I'm guessing that's under historic.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis enjoying a hot dog.
France's favorite son. Oh, this guy's
Dagwood with a monster of a hot dog.
Dwight Eisenhower eating a hot dog. Yep, that's it.
Yep. Legend has it the Babe once ate 12 hot dogs. Pictured not with one, but with his baseball bat.
And then in the bottom corner, there's I'm guessing ventriloquist Jimmy Nelson and his dummy Danny O'Day, and he's feeding his haunted doll a hot dog.
Okay,
this is great.
So now I want you to go to culture. That's the best.
Fuck.
Okay, and then go to hot dog etiquette. So this is a thing, and now.
So in my house, it's hands behind the back.
So you don't need to watch the whole video, but I just want you to see at least the first 20 seconds. There's somebody who appears, and their title. I just want to get an unknown reaction to this to see what your opinion is.
Okay, go to worstdesignshow.com, click on the episode. We're going to put this up. It's a full guide for etiquette, and we're going to see how to eat a hot dog. Hot dog etiquette, an everyday guide to America's favorite food.
Everyone loves hot dogs, but not everyone follows
pause it.
proper etiquette when they enjoy them.
Janet Riley, the queen of Wein.
That's all you need to see.
Oh, and she looks just like how you would think.
Yeah.
She's dressed like a hot dog.
So
Holy shit.
I definitely encourage everybody to watch the video. It's educational. It's fun. Learning etiquette of eating a hot dog. Apparently, you're not supposed to put ketchup on a hot dog over the age of 18.
And don't. First of all, it doesn't say don't put this kind of stuff. It just says don't. Fresh herbs on the same plate with hot dogs.
Yeah.
So if you want to gussy up your hot dog, the Queen of Wein's going to take a chunk out of your ass.
Yeah. Sometimes you stumble across stuff like this and it changes your world. Changes your hot dog world.
Which I thought was in check, but now it's topsy-turvy.
You're supposed to use paper plates only. China is a no-no for hot dogs.
Condiments remaining on the fingers after eating a hot dog should be licked away, not washed.
There is a disgusting scene in the video of etiquette where it's a close-up of the guy like staring into the camera, cleaning his fingers. The video itself feels like a joke, but like with an intro of Queen of Wein, and then later on that scene, I'm imagining it's serious.
Is there any legitimate way we could get sponsored by the Hot Dog Council?
Maybe in resources they have a contact.
Right. We're going to look that up, and we're going to get these people on board because I need more information on everyday guidance for eating America's sacred food. So, yeah, hot dogs. That was a treasure.
Yeah, that's
holy, what a fucking world we live in.
Yeah. I'm really glad I was able to share that with everyone.
So I found some good stuff. I gotta save the Jerry King for later.
Yes.
I had a few stories to tell.
The King's Court.
Yeah, for fucking Jerry King, the King's Court with Jerry King. It's stupid. I may or may not have had pot marijuana when I thought of that.
Maybe you review it and then you have to give the sentence to him as to how many years he has to spend in jail for writing that comic.
Imagine if we could get him to sponsor the show.
Oh, and then every week we just burn the shit out of the comics.
Just to prove he doesn't listen.
Because we're so good at what we do.
See, right here, Marcus said San Fran in a text. Fucking look it up, man.
I'm going to look it up.
Talk about OJ. The glove fits, motherfucker. You said San Fran. I had a lady call me shady because I took her parking spot accidentally.
I did say San Fran. I'm sorry.
Self-flagellation's in order. Or self-immolation.
Wait, shady buddy?
Yeah. I don't know why I even wrote it there. I was driving into a parking spot and this lady thought it was her. She was like right beside it, but at like the laws of physics would dictate there'd be no way in hell she could actually back into that spot without completely scraping the side of the car beside the empty spot. And there were 40 other empty spots in there. I thought she was just a stupid person and stopped. So I pulled right in and she just starts yelling. And she just starts going, shady, buddy, shady, shady move, buddy, shady. And I was like, you're fun. You're cool and fun. And then went into the store with my kid, came back out, and she poured water all over our car.
Just water?
Yeah, which the car was dirty. So thank you.
Huh.
You're the real hero. Yeah.
I found out from my mom.
Me mom.
I think a few months ago, she told me that years ago they were at some mall, maybe for Christmas, and trying to do some Christmas shopping. And she got out of the vehicle and stood in a parking spot to try and hold it. And honestly thought she was in the right. And I had to tell her, like, Mom, no, you're a human, not a vehicle. You cannot stand in a parking space and just expect to hold it from a 2,000-pound car coming your way. Parents, they do the darndest things. The 80s were wild.
There should be like a hot dog style site for parking lot etiquette for if you're over the age of something.
Right.
And stand there eating a bucket full of hot dogs.
Come at me, bro. Shady.
Fuck it. Yeah, that was funny. Those ones, two other things. Okay.
It's just a strain of thought that.
Oh, this is my over preparing. Like I put in like 2 shows worth of shit to bring up just in case there's like a dead space or like you have a stroke or something. You have to keep steering the ship.
Mid-show, you just continue on.
Yeah. Oh, after you leave, I go for another 2 hours.
Well,
So speaking of advice, that's what we're talking about today. Career advice, design advice, advice, things we've heard in the past for better or worse. When's a cool time to get advice? For me, it's rare because I've worked by myself for so long that I'm an insular prick. But anyway, we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. What I wanted to know based on something recent that happened is that I need advice. How do you get a coworker to do their job? I heard about a situation very close to me in a way where essentially one person needed another person who worked for that company. It's not a client problem. It's, hey, we both work for the same company. I need you to perform your job and provide me with the thing that I need in order to perform my job. And the project manager was asked, from what I hear, is, hey, in regards to this specific person, how do you get them to do their job? How do you get them to give me the things that I need in a timely manner? And the project manager said, well, there's not a whole lot you can do with him. I can't just tell him to do his job because he won't do it. And that was the end of the conversation. Oh, fuck. Oh, I just want to live in like the Sahara and just like lay on the sand all day. It's too much. I can't just ask them to do their job because they won't do it.
Pass.
Yep.
How you can't. What? Yeah, but
So from another person involved, their advice was, you just have to wait for them to get around to wanting to do it.
Wait for them to want to do it.
Yeah. So upon hearing this, me being pretty mellow most of the time, but I snap and I get angry and I just want to like throw things out the window and just smash shit. That sent me into such a rage because there's no way it should just be known. And this other person isn't higher up. It's just known that you have to be nice to them if you want them to do their job. So
can you, if they're in the same office, my suggestion would be wait for the right opportunity where there's like a trash bin behind them and then dunk on them. And
Shaq style.
Yeah, and then say things like, in your face. It's my court now, bitch.
Or full Shaq, you can go, tell me how my ass tastes from his good rap about Kobe.
That is a great quote for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm more concerned about this person. I've worked with a client where they had said, full disclosure, if it takes more than 5 minutes of work, I probably won't get to it in a meeting. And so that was really fun to hear. And that, of course, went nowhere and nothing ever got done.
Yeah, that's the point where if the client doesn't want to be there, then just the project should not start with that person running shit because it just proves they have other stuff to do and this got foisted on them and they're probably bummed.
But a coworker is a different thing.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've never quite hit it before.
Like, because you would think, you think maybe do I go above them? Do I talk to their superior and like, hey, do your job to get this person to do their job, or do you approach them yourself and tell them to smarten the fuck up? And
my tactless approach would be to just say, hey, fuckface, do your job. Part of that is giving me stuff. If you have a problem with it, we will discuss it later.
Or outside.
After you have completed your job.
Do we have to talk outside or something?
Oh, I'll talk outside
Goodwill
all
Hunting
day.
it.
Oh, like an Apple thing?
Yeah, when he's like...
You could do apples to them.
Yeah, what does he say? He says...
do you like apples?
You know, you could just something...
Oh.
Or, you know, we could just talk about this outside.
Oh, when he's talking about... you'll be serving my kids fries. We're on our way to a ski trip. He's like, yeah, at least it won't be unoriginal. But, you know, if you have a problem, we can go outside and talk about it. He said, no problem, man. And he had a red ponytail.
That's the fucking word for word of it. It's like
a good movie.
It's like I was watching the movie there. It's,
Yeah. You hot
that's
shit.
a tough one. Best of luck to the person.
Yeah, Godspeed, everybody.
Yeah, you can only hope that they get into like a non-life-threatening car accident and their damages is like a twisted ankle, or they stub their toe so bad that it hurts real bad and they cry.
Or perhaps that attitude translates into all aspects of life where things happen on their terms, maybe around Christmas, the holidays, whatever you celebrate, or if you don't, I don't give a shit. If they're standing in the parking lot holding a parking spot for somebody,
Somebody just
like an
drives-
insane person eating a hot dog and then get hit by a car, maybe that's a universe sorting itself. Shady, buddy. I got water with your name on it, buddy. So yeah, so that's fun. I found a few things. I won't go through all of them because I found too many. One cool thing is Harry's razors. I don't know if you've ever, as a bearded man, you probably don't buy a lot of razors.
I buy razors for my scalp.
Yeah.
And
pubis.
For my
Trunk.
back pubis. I like to carve designs. Carve designs? That just sounds like I'm taking the blades out. I'm like, do you like my scars?
I'm changing. Do you see?
I do use is it the Harry's? Yeah, the Harry's razors.
Yeah, it's like $9 a
Because
month or something. They send you super good.
Oh, not even. I get like a 12-pack for like 8 months, and that'll last me. And they're so cheap compared to a Gillette or any of those.
And they bought a 90-year-old razor factory in Germany.
That's how they started.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So anyway, I just happened upon this. They came out with it's Pride Month too. This was just a happy accident. I found it and I super dug it. But Harry's launches their Shave with Pride set, and we're gonna put a link up to all this shit on worstdesignshow.com. But it's like a special edition for Pride Month packaging for all their stuff. I thought it just looked awesome. It's bright. The illustrations are like fun. Everybody, I don't know. It's simple and fun, and I liked it.
While the kind of the color blocks are, it's quite common.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right now, but the actual illustration style is not common. It's almost like it almost looks like some of those like single line drawings.
Yeah.
But almost like half of that combined with, ooh.
Yeah, and then
like a razor.
They coated the razor handle with that. It's like that iridescent kind of like burnt. It's almost like a burnt muffler. How it's like all rainbowy depending how you shine it, or like an asshole would paint their Camaro in the 90s.
Like those shells from
the beach.
Yeah. Those
Oh, abalone.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Goodwill Hunting.
Those
I got it
pimento
all.
loaf shells.
Delicious shells.
Oh.
But yeah, so it comes in like a box with a bunch of color illustrations, all that. The inside's super colorful too. It just just looked nice. And what I liked about it is that the only purpose it had was to be a part of Pride Month. Mm-hmm. And I thought they packaged their product nicely, and it looks fun.
I'm surprised I didn't get an email with this promotion, because I usually get their emails all the time.
Yeah, well, I guess they know what you're all about.
That's kind of nice.
It is kind of nice. So another thing I found is this studio called 72 and Sunny Amsterdam. They created a new additional dynamic logo for IKEA. As far as I can tell, they took the old one and they made it white, and they knocked out the oval in the center where it used to be blue and yellow. Now it's white and the oval is knocked out.
Is this like an unsolicited idea, or
No.
is it actually?
They did it so like they're showing in the examples on the site, which you could go to our site and check it out. They can now overlay the image all in white on photos, where before it would like clash with colors.
Just because the yellow and blue.
Yeah, the yellow and blue is really, it's a vibrant thing. So if they're trying to have like a nice scene with a bunch of their contemporary shit, which I enjoy IKEA stuff, it was clashy, which, it makes sense. It's funny it took them this long to be like, hey, every header of every goddamn website in the past 5 years is just a big photo with white text or a white logo on it. Maybe we should try that. So
I didn't spend $100,000 to pay somebody to do that.
Yeah. So it was interesting. It was weird, and
That's like
I wish I could charge for shit like that. Like,
yeah, it's there's a word for it. It's I can't remember what it's like. It's
a
not
scam.
Overwhelming, but it's like meh. But there's a extension to that. Doesn't matter.
Extension to
I'm moving on from it. I had a train of thought that just it got derailed and killed a couple people.
There's a guy, I think it was in England, and the only reason I pulled it up is because he has a fun name. His name is Paul Coxedge. Designs a landmark project for Broadgate. Now, there's going to be no link to this because I just want everybody to remember the name Paul Coxedge.
I like it.
Yep. All right.
In my search, so that the hot dog council. I thought, I wonder if anybody on LinkedIn is represented by them.
Ooh.
So I started typing a hot dog council into LinkedIn, and I found a guy who's not with them, but his like title description said like hot dog, not hot dog, and that was it.
You didn't type in the Queen of Wein into LinkedIn?
No,
it had her name.
I should steal that title.
The Queen. Next episode, I have a few fun type things to share. Some cool sites and stuff like that. But in the interest of not taking forever, I would like to get to what's the Jerry King thing called for today?
King's Court.
King's Court. All right, so we'll be holding King's Court, starring Jerry King cartoons. Now, I've seen this one before because I had to go through a bunch to find an exceptionally disgusting one. Oh, Marcus is trying to put his entire microphone in his mouth. So, as we did last time, which I really enjoyed when listening back when doing the editing, Marcus, if you please, paint a word picture with your mouth and explain to the fine listeners out there, what has Jerry King done this week?
So without glancing down to the caption, there is a... Do I even describe the background? Because it's just as...
It's two different plaids. They're competing.
The wall is plaid and the curtains are plaid. I don't know if that's important to the caption yet. And it's a starry night. It looks like they're in space by the fact that there's no horizon. Or they're on like the 100th floor of a building.
Yeah.
And at that point, you'd have so much light pollution, you'd never see those stars. This cartoon is inaccurate.
Inaccurate.
So there's two people standing in front of somebody at a desk, and the person at the desk is looking at some papers, has some colors on it, and the caption reads, "Irwin spends way too much time as a designer. I asked him what his New Year's resolution was." Oh my God, I fucking can't read. Oh my God. Oh, this is so bad. I'm going to start this again. Irwin spends way too much time as a designer. I asked him, hold on, wait a sec.
He spends it as
let me get through this, and then I'm going to rant about this. Irwin spends too much time as a designer. I asked him what his New Year's resolution was, and he said 300 DPI. Now, a few things I have beefs with. So, one, if you don't know anything about print or resolution, DPI is dots per inch. 300 is pretty standard for print. Moving on.
Or double penetration, intense. Which I think this is what Jerry King's getting at.
There's a comma. So what I don't understand is who's Irwin in this comic? And I just don't understand the visual concept. Is the guy complaining to the girl that's sitting next to him? Is he complaining to the guy at the desk? Or is he complaining about a staff? None of it makes sense.
No, so what I took from it is two coworkers took it upon themselves to go into Irwin's office, stand directly in front of Irwin, and talk about Irwin like he's fucking Rain Man while he stares at colored blobs on his desk.
And those wouldn't be everything about this is I feel like more effort was put into the background plaid selection than actually writing the joke. Joke is in quotations.
Yeah.
By the
No,
way.
it's real good and I like it.
I'm more concerned about the concept of computers to Jerry. I don't know if he's ever seen a computer.
That's a good point on this one, because the last one, it was completely the toilet one.
Yeah.
There's no keyboard.
I don't think he's ever seen a computer.
This one you can see, it's like he has the display on the very edge closest to him of his desk facing in, but it's on the side of his desk. And then he just has a giant black oval on the desk.
Which conveniently looks like a toilet seat.
Jerry King, you've done it
I
again.
think we're onto something here.
All right. Well,
I feel like he's putting Easter eggs like, I'm going to fit in a toilet somewhere in my comic this week. See if the readers can figure it out. Oh, they did. Oh, shit.
so that's been King's Court for this week, and we salute you, Jerry King. You're a marauder.
Yeah, if you really enjoy getting frustrated of over-analyzing a comic, then these are perfect.
Yeah. So go to worstdesignshow.com and enjoy hating being alive and having vision. And yeah, so we're going to take a quick break, come back, talk about the thing we're going to talk about. Bye.
So what is your advice to students all?
Learn to draw. If you don't, you're going to live your life getting around that and trying to compensate for that. It's like now, so when the problem is there, instead of doing a drawing when you have to do it, you know, to deal with the communication issue, you find another lesser way to do it. And it's like you have to do this. Instead of forthrightly dealing with it, you have to sort of turn your arm and twist your shoulder and do a solution that comes out as a square or a triangle or a circle, you know, and that's ridiculous. You can't get away with that. It's a crippling absence that, and the unfortunate thing is, you can get by with it, without it, and you can even get a job and you can move to a certain point, but then when you realize, that's when you realize that you really wish you knew how to draw, and it's too late, because you'll never go back to school. You'll never have the discipline to take a night class. And you can't afford the drop in salary anymore. You've geared your life to that money and you're finished. You're never going to learn how to draw. And isn't that awful?
Welcome back, everybody. So we were just chatting between the break, comparing finger lengths. And
penis lengths.
Well,
mine's shorter than all my fingers.
It's like a big toe.
But thin. It's like a thin toe.
Height-wise, not width, but just height.
Yeah, and it does have a nail.
Two. Top and bottom.
Just like Jesus. Or do you have three? How many do you take to toss that dude up there? 3?
Oh, I see what you did there.
There's a comedian. Oh, yeah, where they're like, yeah, we only brought 3. Just do your feet like this. Forget who did that. That was a good one.
So, yes, we were having a conversation, and there's, I have thoughts and questions in my head from time to time that sometimes are design related, sometimes are not, most of the time not. And whenever I ask them to people, I just get the weirdest looks and confusion, mostly from Jen. Because she probably thinks my brain is just messed up.
You're married to Jennifer Aniston, that's correct.
Yep.
Jen.
Think she's married to Adam Sandler as well.
Might as well be.
We trade off.
They have fun.
Yeah. So we're going to throw these out. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but we're still in that user testing, trial and error mode of this.
Which will definitely end at some point.
We're going to throw it at the ground and see what sticks.
Thanks, gravity.
Oh, look, it all did. So to give you an idea of what this segment could be, isn't.
Could be, isn't.
So I was in a tile store, and looking at tile.
Hey, what's the name of the segment?
Ponder from Beyonder.
That's it for today.
Yeah.
Might have a different one next time.
Yeah, it probably will. We'll think of something. We will just stare at the wall. It's like, we think for a living. I can't do it on command. So the thought ponder I had was when I was in this tile store and I asked the sales rep who was in there, which basically when I said this to her, it stopped her in her tracks, and I couldn't tell if she was angry at the question or enjoyed it or was generally concerned for my well-being. But I asked her, how many tile stores have you been in that have carpet floors, and how many carpet stores have you been in that have tile floors? Because every tile store I've been in has tile floors, and or carpet floors, and every carpet store I've been in have tiles. No, wait. Oh man, no, I have the backwards. So every tile store I've been in has tile, every carpet floor I've been in has carpet. But how many of them are the opposite? And why? The end.
I thought this could be a thing we could look up.
Oh my God, no.
I brought up like a new tab. I'm like, hey, we're going to drill into something.
Okay, let me give you something you actually look like, because that's just a thought. This is one you can actually look up. Is there a correlation between music movies and the following charts over the years? And I put a note, research required. So my thought here was when a music movie comes out, say Ray or Bohemian Rhapsody, what have you, do music trends change the following few years to reflect that movie based on its popularity? So like because rock hasn't been at the top of the charts for a number of years now, there's all these rock movies coming out. Does that nudge the swing of rock back to the top of the charts? Whereas we just had, there's been movies in between, but we had 8 Mile, the NWA movie. I think there was another one. And so like hip hop is big right now. So my weird thought was, is there a correlation between that and how far back can we go to see it? Because obviously videos don't affect these things anymore, and radio doesn't.
Well, right here, it looks like after Bohemian Rhapsody came out, Billboard reported that the sales resulted in nearly $18 million in revenue of Queen music versus the $4.4 million that the music had earned in the preceding 6 months.
Right.
So that's specific to their band because it came out there. But you're wondering if, like, will people be digging more rock music in general?
Right.
They've been pulled out of their auto-tune shit tank.
Yeah. So that was just a weird thought that I had, whether there was an actual trend to that. These are the kind of things I think about, that I sit there and I ponder, and that I legitimately write down things like, I need to research this.
Struggling to get erect.
For no reason at all.
Yeah, there's an article from the Christian Science Monitor. That's where I get all of my not fake news, thank you. Rock on, how biopics are giving rock and roll new life. So according to God, it's working. And they have a big picture of Nikki Sixx, which is about the most Christian guy you could find.
Giving 2 thumbs. Yeah, but he's wearing a cross. It is a knife, but it's kind of a cross.
He looks like I don't know.
I like those eyes are closed in that picture too.
It would take at least like 9 different kind of animals to make that man. He's not natural. One of them's a raven, I think. Anyway, so according to the Christian Science Monitor, yes.
So these are the other things too, is I don't do any research on these afterwards. I just let them sit there and be like, oh, that's a good question. I've got a bunch more, but we'll save them for never another time.
We'll keep workshopping the carpet tile store one. And well, I feel that's an unquantifiable, but you never know.
And like a lot of times I think about the origins of stuff and like cannabis.
Yep.
For example, like, did the people who discovered it smoke everything until something worked?
Well, so this kind of...
See, I'm sure there's actually written reasonings, but I don't look it up.
Which
I like to pretend that there's magic involved in everything.
This ties into what we're going to be talking about today. Who was giving advice on what to eat and what not to eat back then? It's like, that's a red berry. Go ahead, it's fine. And then they die.
Well, that was just knowledge passed down.
But
knowledge of non-knowledge is power.
But at some point in history, everyone was a guinea pig.
Oh, yeah.
So there'd have to be one person, like, basically like any guy that walks by like a construction site, they stop and they're like, oh, looks like they're using girders. Good. Like they're just bullshitting like they know anything. But there had to be a guy back in the day being like, no, red berries are good.
We've jumped to girders from red berries to girders.
But like a long time ago, there had to be plenty of dickheads being like, I know. I don't want to say I don't know. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to give you my advice, which I think is correct because I'm not willing to say that I don't know. And then your cave friend dies.
Right. And then they
shitting himself from berries.
Kronk ate those red berries and he died.
Yeah.
So don't eat them. And then they eat them like, I told you Kronk died.
Yeah. He's an idiot. And now try these.
And now the other caveman name dies.
So that was Ponder from Beyonder. I think we solved it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It kind of burns the mystery of it.
Well, technically, it's still a mystery. We found one article from the Christian Science Monitor that might discuss that topic, but we didn't read it to see if they were...
Have you ever been to, I think it's called the Pudding. And it's a Bill Cosby tribute site.
Oh, yeah.
It's the data site.
Oh, also, Bill Cosby sends his Happy Father's Day wishes out to you all through Twitter, and he called himself America's dad. That's true.
America's ghost dad. Speaking of Bill Cosby, and when I was just in San Fran.
Oh, you mean Frisco?
Yeah. In Frisco, eating some rice-a-roni. Where we were staying, there's a park nearby, and the park is called Grab Town. Like Grab Town. Grab Town.
That's like that park in Vancouver that the locals named Dude Chilling Park.
Yeah.
And then they changed it, and everyone said no, and they just put it back. It's Dude Chilling Park.
They want to change it. I mean, Grab Town, you'd of course want to change, but it's on Google.
What are we grabbing?
Berries.
Gripping and grabbing berries.
Berries and trying them.
All right. Well, our advice is go to Grab Town and eat whatever you can find. You can shit freely because apparently there are hordes of people coming to collect it at the end of the night.
If you haven't turned this off yet, bravo.
Yeah. And on that note, goodbye of this topic and on to the next topic. Today we want to talk about career advice. I have gotten a variety of stuff over the years. I've never really worked with a lot of other people, so a lot of the advice is just like shit that I've told myself after screwing something up really, really badly. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, never do that again. But I have received some advice in the past few years that some good, some bad, some, I don't know. It seems like the intentions are good, but the person just, their advice does not fit your situation, right. Or if you follow their advice, you may follow a path that they are, which may be a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah.
How far back are you wanting to go? Because and that's the thing is like, do you want it to be design related advice or just life work advice?
The topic is officially career advice.
Sure.
So just like how to function. And like a lot of my stuff is design related, but I mean, just in general, like how to function, how to get ahead. I don't even know how to describe it, but
I have one piece of advice that I know that you've gotten and you follow closely. It's the old adage of dress for the job you want, not for the one you have.
Yep.
In our industry, that's complete garbage.
Yep.
Because if it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it doesn't apply to anything that we do. No. And I don't know if anybody says that anymore. Because like if you look at, say, I don't know, Steve Jobs, and you
Yep.
like dress for the job you want. It's like, okay, I'll wear a black shirt and blue jeans and sneakers. I'm a CEO.
Yep. Well, that's the thing, is that the job he wanted was to be head of his own gigantic company.
Right.
So yeah, it's a good point. A lot of old school advice in our industry, at least. It doesn't really matter. Like, my boss technically dresses worse than I do, but he's the boss, so whatever. Like, I'm not like a fancy man, but new shirt. And
But when's the last time you had a job where it had a dress code?
one time, so and I never ended up working there because of the dress code. I got a job at a clothing store, Roots.
Really?
Yeah. I was like 19 and I desperately needed a job. I just moved to Victoria, or I was 20. Yeah. Anyway, long ass time ago. So I went out dropping off a bunch of resumes. I'd only worked as a furniture mover. I worked as a landscaper, a welding shop, and at a poster store.
So no uniforms, dress codes.
No, like, no path to continue anywhere else. I'm like,
Right.
I can just get whatever goddamn job wherever. So I worked at a record store in Victoria when I first got there. I worked in like a warehouse, and then anyway, applied for a job. It was like 3 interviews to get me back. And it was just like this long process. And he's like, yeah, I think it'll really work out. And then he's like, okay, so go choose the clothes that you want to buy to wear to work in. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you have to wear the clothes. I'm like, and I have to buy them? He's like, yeah, you get like a 15% discount or something like that. So
Right.
I picked out like a stack of clothes. I went into the change room, tried on like one shirt, one pair of pants, looked at myself in the mirror, folded up all the clothes. I walked out. The guy's like, so you find something you like? And I just handed him the stack of clothes. I said, this is not going to work for me. And I just left.
If this was a made-for-TV movie, you would have said, yeah, myself,
Huh.
and then walked out.
That would have been uplifting.
Yeah.
It would have been nice.
Instead, you threw everything on the ground.
Yeah. And I
That's
I never regretted that, because it felt antiquated at the time, and it was like 19 years ago.
right. So obviously the dress code stuff that advice doesn't work anymore. It doesn't really apply. I mean, not for us.
Yeah, but like, if you look at, realtors, all these people that are super self-promotional, like, the slicker they look, the higher end clients they'll get. Like, there is that comfort in, oh, you're fancy like me, or you present yourself well, you can go up higher.
Yeah,
but
it'd be weird to buy like a car or a house from somebody in jorts
yeah,
and Crocs.
yeah. Which, if you go into like a developer meeting and half of them are wearing jorts and Crocs, and you do, it's
Like,
not
these
weird.
guys, they know what's up.
You know what? I'm actually rethinking now. Maybe I should be fancier at work.
But what
I
is
don't
your
know
definition
why.
of fancier, though?
A shirt with buttons.
Yeah, but it's hot out.
It's hot out.
That's the problem. Is that summertime?
No.
It's sweaty.
Yeah, my method, like 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh, I need some new shorts. And my wife's like, okay, are you going to the mall? And I said, you don't buy shorts, you make shorts.
Exactly.
You go into the drawer and say, you are no longer pants. You are now shorts, which I'm sporting today.
Yes. That's how I obtained my last 2 pairs of shorts.
They're born.
Yeah, and you hope that you cut them right.
No, shorts are like heroes. They're not made, they're born. So yeah, old school advice.
Asking to see because most of what we do is of course digital, but I remember some of the old school stuff was like, ask for the manager and introduce yourself.
Yeah,
And
looking for a job.
While that doesn't apply now, because most of the time you never see anybody because you can't get into the building.
Yeah.
Some of that still holds true. So when I have some old school values, and like, I don't know, maybe they're just empathetic values. They're not even values, they're just stuff that I do. So back in the day, yes, I used to ask for the manager or supervisor, introduce myself, hand them my resume, and usually got the job. Where that carries over now is if I have to write a cover letter, or I'm reviewing people's applications, and I read everything.
Oh yeah.
And if I can see that there's no effort made to the cover letter, there's no effort made to a resume, that does matter to me.
Yeah.
And even somebody as simple as like you interview them and they, wait a couple days or wait the next day and then message back saying, just thanks for your time.
Yeah.
It was great to meet you. And there's not an expectation like when you're going to follow up with me. It was just like, hey, thanks for taking the time. There's something to that.
Well, it's for me, it's you're motivated to work here, which says that you'll be motivated when you get here.
Yeah.
If I can spot you cutting corners on your way to the front door, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Just because I don't trust that you're not going to do that every day. And I've worked with people, they're like, it's good enough. I was like, well, for you, but it looks like shit. Like redo it. It's terrible. But
it's an easy win if you're applying for a job and it says like reporting to the marketing director. Then you look up the site, who's the marketing director, and you find out who they are and try and address it to them, or you find them on LinkedIn. It takes less than 5 minutes.
Like the Wein queen. We're going to find her.
Exactly. And then you don't have to write to whom it may concern.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I've written a cover letter, I try to find a vector version of their logo. I find like, hey, you and you, or the hiring committee and blah, blah, blah. And I really like the work you did here. And I feel it's in line with the kind of stuff I want to do. And just like, it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's nothing. So I guess a piece of advice.
It is.
Act like you give a shit before you get there. And then they'll assume that you give a shit when you're there.
Yeah.
Another old one I want to bring up is because it's really tricky in our industry is the customer is always right.
That is a good one. So it's not in our case. It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't. It's more of a theory, if you will, because they're not always right. Some of them are just plain stupid.
Yeah,
and that doesn't just apply to our jobs, but every job.
And I think that one, especially like after being in a client-facing industry for 19, 20 years and working retail and service jobs before that, it's really a means to an end. If someone's complaining, you give them what they want, and then you still get their money.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine for a $40 item or a $100 item or like a $500. If your business is transactional rather than, more of an immersive service kind of thing like a lot of designers do, then yeah, like all these like studios they use one goddamn stupid WordPress template for every stupid website they do. Not that I have an opinion, but for them, yeah, the customer's always right because just churn them out, man.
Yeah.
Like we are a turnover business, but for the companies you and I work for, and tons and tons and tons of designers and other people in like a in-depth service industry, we're not following directives. They're coming to us basically to buy a magic trick.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can convince them that the lady saw it in half, and they're like, oh, worth every penny. But if they're like, we want you to cut her toes off first. It's like, yeah, we can't really do that. It's not really how the trick works. Like you came expecting a result, and we're trying to give you that result in the most, intelligent way we can. But once the trick starts being prescriptive from their end,
mm-hmm.
then you're in a customer's always right scenario. But in my experience, those projects never fucking end because those people now have power and they just they'll change the project forever and it'll never finish. So it kind of has the inverse effect, in my opinion, in our industry, where if you give them carte blanche to do whatever,
mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden they're feeling it's like you see a crossing guard wearing that fluorescent vest and they get right in the road and they put their hand up in your face or whatever. Like a little bit of power gets to people's heads. Like I'll be walking across the street by like my kid's school and there's a crossing guard and I'll be the only one at the crosswalk, and a reasonable human would look at me and be like, he's got this. He's probably crossed tons of roads. And then there are the ones that are like, hold on. I'm like, it's fine. I'm just crossing. There's no car. She goes, the light's red. I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, there are people that they get a little bit of power and they go nuts, and that can be a client as well.
I think what it sums up to is just to listen to them.
That's a
and
good
that
angle.
They think that they're right and be empathetic, but at the same time, don't be afraid to stand your ground and say no, because it applies at the lowest level to the highest level. Like even one of my first jobs was working at Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
And
what's a brazier?
A what?
They used to have it on all their signs. Brazier. Braziers. It says like hamburgers, hot dogs, braziers. All right, you're not the man to ask.
Wait, what year though?
The time. I was a child.
I was 15. But I remember that was my first encounter with the customer isn't always right. And a gentleman had ordered a burger, ate 3/4 of it, came up and asked to see a manager and to complain that the burger was gross and wanted his money back. And the supervisor said, well, you had no problem with eating most of it, and now it's bad. It's like, no, you can leave. And it's
See?
like, oh,
that's good.
You can do that?
Well, that's a person that should be in a better job.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can see how inconsequential this person's bullshit is. Like, just move on. Please never come back. I get paid the same whether you come here or not.
Right.
That's a person that is thinking pragmatically, and it's probably actually doing something better now.
Yeah. One that I usually try to think of always is it the golden rule? Is that the one? Where like treat people
how you want to be treated?
Yeah.
See,
but
I feel I used to know what the golden rule was, but then I think Larry David has like 9 meanings for it on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's like, that doesn't supersede the golden rule, and he changes it all the time. So I don't know what it is anymore.
I mean, I think of it as usually what ends up happening is when you're late for delivery or you're trying to get something wrapped, and you think like, what if I was a client and already paid all this money, and like, how would I be in that situation? Yeah. And so you're empathetic to them, and you're like, shit, I need to get this done for them, because if that was me, I'd be so pissed off.
That's what it is. The golden rule, and I'm sure the people listening to this, they've been fucking screaming the past like 45 seconds, is he with the gold makes the rule. I've heard that.
What?
Now that I say it out loud, that's stupid.
So is that a Larry David thing? It can't be.
Yeah, it could be.
Here's a fun fact for you that I discovered.
Yeah.
Larry David is in the Three Stooges movie with Will Sasso and 2 other people.
Wasn't it like, Jesus, like I know. French Stewart? Is that a guy?
No, but the one guy was from Will and Grace. And the other guy who played Mo was the guy from Silicon Valley who is the 3 comma guy.
Really?
Yeah. So he played Mo, and I think he's Canadian as well. They were actually, no, the guy from Will and Grace is not Canadian. It's the other guy. Anyways, so Larry David plays a nun in the movie.
I'm still not going to watch it.
It's
holy shit, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
Well, Larry, he's probably like legitimately a billionaire, and he can do whatever he wants. Yeah. And God bless him. He does good things.
But yeah, that's one that I'm quite often relate to. And it does cross over into real life as anger situations, and like if somebody fucks up your order and you know it's not the server's fault or anybody's real fault, it's not on purpose, you're like, I can't get mad at it. Like,
I can't stand being in public when like an idiot is taking their day out on like somebody bringing them lunch, and they're like, this is unacceptable and whatever.
Yeah.
And you can tell when you have somebody that's been yelled at a lot before, because if they bring you the wrong thing, like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, it's mellow. Fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like, I'm sure it'll be corrected. And they're like, oh, you're so nice. I'm like, I can't believe people yell at other people about like shit like my iced tea is warm.
Yeah.
Like, just drink it. Don't be an idiot. Or say, may I have ice or whatever it is. Anyway.
Another one that surprisingly, I actually have a bunch that
Yeah, I wrote good and bad.
Is shit. Now it's gone. Oh no. Uh-oh.
Here, I'll do one. Unless you're...
It was carrying on from the server yelling at people. Oh, I know what it was. It was like not going out of your way to help somebody, but like, and I learned this one from when I was working at grocery stores.
Yeah.
To never be like, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can't do that, try to present an alternative solution. So
yeah.
I remember, somebody would request something at the store, like, oh, we can't do that, but what we can do is this, and that's really the only option. And people usually find with it. So now when I encounter it in life where, like I was at Best Buy a few months ago looking to purchase a Bluetooth speaker for my niece, and there was one I was reading some reviews on, and it was on the display, and it was the only one that didn't work for the demo. And so I found a guy, and I'm like, hey, I wanted to try the speaker, but it's the only one that doesn't work. He's like, there's nothing I can do. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, those are serviced by the manufacturer, so we have to call them, and then they send somebody out, and that can take some weeks. I was like, so you can't open a box right now and let me try it?
Yeah.
And he's like, no. I'm like, you realize that you're losing a sale. I know you're not commissioned, but the company is losing money because you just won't open a box, and you know that'll be okay. Like, for somebody to say there's nothing I can do, that's rarely true.
Yeah, that is actually, I had a very similar experience 2 years ago in like a Mac store, not an Apple store, just a store that sells Macs. I was buying a new Wacom or Wacom, whatever. If you're listening to your own Wacom or whatever, please let us know how to pronounce it, but just write it out. So anyway, my tablet died. It was just sketchy and wasn't really working. So I went, and they had 3 different ones, and I was looking at the one in the middle, and it says like the size on the box, but I was like, hey, can I open this up? I just want to see if I'm going to get this one or if I'm going to get the bigger one. I don't want one too big, because I find with the Wacom, the longer the lines on the tablet are, the shakier they are. So I like a medium one, so it kind of, it compensates for your shaky hand or whatever. Mm-hmm. But a small one, it's too, anyway, it doesn't work for me. Whatever. I asked the guy, can I look at this? He's like, why, are you going to buy it? I was like, no, fuckface. I'm in here because, you know what? I'm in love with you.
I just like wasting time.
Yeah, like I'm waiting for these other customers to leave so we can, we can make something happen. And he was giving me such attitude. And I was like, hey, you work here. This is the whole point, man.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he went, you know what? I'm sorry. He's like, I've been having a shitty day. I was just being a dick to you for no reason. Absolutely, we can open that up.
Oh my God.
And we opened up both boxes. I was like, I'll take the one in the middle. He's like, absolutely. Again, so sorry. So it's just like, just because someone's at work, it doesn't mean, and with clients and stuff, just because you're having a meeting with a client doesn't mean they're having a good day.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're having a good day. But just, I don't know, go back and like smash some like fluorescent light bulbs or something, get out of your system, because you can't bring that shit into a meeting.
Quite often, if you have a client request for something that is might be difficult or very time consuming, it's like, well, to do that's going to be difficult, but if we do this, we could save you some money on it. It'll be quicker, and we can come back to it later. And like giving an alternative that is still in their best interest always goes over well. Yeah. I've had experience in the past where I present an idea to a developer, and they're like, I don't know if we can do that. And it's like, you don't know, or we can't. And they're like, well, I don't think we can. It's like, that's too bad. It's like, they'd really like this feature. And then it eats away at them. And then usually half an hour later, I get a message like, okay, I figured it out. We can do it. It's like, no.
That's almost every interaction with certain developers.
Yeah, it's like I knew that we could. You just didn't want to put in that 2 seconds of effort.
And that brings me to, I'm going to call it a piece of advice, but I don't know. I think it was just being shitty to me. Anyway, I was pushing for a framework to be used for a website. Now, it's not one this company uses, but it's one that I was like, everything you use is very complex and it's going to be complete overkill and it's going to eat up a lot of your developer resources for no reason.
Are you referring to like using a bootstrap type system?
WordPress with Simplice.
Right.
With Simplice 4 just came out a little while ago. It's awesome.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out Simplice and you do a lot of web design work, although not large sites, if you do, 6-10 page sites, whatever, check out Simplice because it's fantastic. It's
minimal effort to get started, and then once you're in there, you don't need to know how to code.
But if you do, then you can go into the customization and do custom CSS and put it, and you can code in it. Anyway, it's awesome. Maybe they'll sponsor us. Maybe not. I'd rather have hot dogs. Be hot dog council. Anyway, I'm like, hey, so this is going to be complicated, blah, 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 blah. But if this is a path you want to go down, fine. And I brought it up a few weeks before with like heavy resistance. I'm like, I am trying to free up your time so I can get my project done quicker and it'll be as lightweight as it needs to be and we'll just move on. So time goes on and all that. And then they're still talking about using their complex system. So I was like, okay, so what I've done is I've prepared a plan B. If you don't have the resources, then this is what I'm going to do to get my job done. And the developer was so offended. It said, hey, don't waste an entire day thinking about plan B. Just put all your focus into plan A.
Okay.
And I said, I spent 5 minutes thinking about plan B because I know how to do all this shit. It's not my first rodeo. So I spent 10 minutes building myself a plan B in case your plan A shits the bed, which I'm guarantee it's going to because it's too complicated. It's killing a spider with a shotgun. And then a bit of time went on, and eventually the head of development's like, yeah, you can build sites in WordPress, like you know how to do that. I'm like, I've built hundreds of sites. It's Simplice makes it super easy as well. He's like, oh, that's so good. That's such a huge relief for us. Now we're freed up to just focus on what we need to do, the more complex work. But it was just that, don't waste an entire day thinking about plan B. Just put all the focus on plan A. I found that to be terrible advice.
That's awful.
Yeah.
You should always have a backup plan.
And the backup plan should be something you're comfortable and familiar with. So in case of emergency, break glass, and you just implement the thing you know how to implement.
Yeah. But that's also, I mean, it's not, I don't consider overkill for a lesson of life too, to always have a backup plan. You're like, oh, worst case scenario, this happens.
Yeah.
And you think about like, okay, well, I might lose that, whatever. That's the worst case scenario. Like, for example, if you're traveling and you hop in a Uber or a Lyft or a taxi and you put luggage in the back and you get out and the driver drives away.
Yeah.
Always keep your valuables like laptop and shit with you in case the person drives away. Then all you lose is a couple of clothes and your toiletries. You still have the most expensive part. So you're like, worst case scenario, I have to go buy deodorant and some socks. Always have a plan B.
What I tell my kids all the time is they'll be like, oh, I want to do this, blah, blah, like, I don't, whatever the hell it is. I was like, okay, what's the best possible outcome? And they're like, oh, it'll work. And I'm like, what's the worst possible outcome? They say, oh, I'll probably break both of my legs. I was like, is the win worth it? They're like, no, I don't even really want to do it. I was like, okay, well, there you go. You looked at the alternative. You looked at plan B. It took you a split second. And you're like, not for me. And moving on.
And maybe that's the difference between logical humans and like sports people.
Well, that's
because there's no thinking involved.
But that's the Dairy Queen manager. That's a regular one would be like, oh, yes, sir, we'll make you another one. But this one's like,
and here's your money back.
3/4 of that burger says it was delicious. Fuck off. It's like, that's a problem solver. I like that.
Yeah.
So one good piece of advice that I got a few years ago from a person that we know that there are stories about, always been very nice to me. They told us when we were running Bully, our small design company, add an extra 30% to all time and money estimates
For
everything.
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I do that very often when I'm estimating on project work, because like I know how long things will take me, but then I go over because shit happens.
Yeah, because other things get in the way. Whereas in your head, if I had focused time, it would take me 3 days.
And it's way better to prepare for those and you still look good.
Yeah.
Than under-prepare and be like, oh shit, now I've got to charge them an extra $5,000 because I fucked up.
Yeah, and that same person kind of, not exactly in these words, said, just add another 0 to all your estimates.
Oh,
and we're like, that's a big move. And they're like, if they can afford it, they can pay it. And then you work a tenth as hard and you get like essentially paid as much money, or you work as hard and get paid 10 times the money. So we tried it. We increased, a few of the estimates by like 50, 60, 70%. All of them went through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Their advice was you can scrap it out for the middle or just go for the money and the better work. And we're like, well, you're in a position of, well, we don't want to scare people away. But you're scaring people away that don't have as much money as you would like for the work.
Right.
And those are the people that are going to clog up your inbox and just screw your whole schedule, because one $10,000 client takes up as much time as a $100,000 client. One just has 10 times more money.
Yeah.
And then once we embrace that, it was like, oh, crazy. The people are just paying it. And they're like, well, all these other clients paid it, and now here's your estimate. And they're like, well, if, like we did one for the some big museum in Chicago, the Museum of Science and Technology or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They co-did an exhibit with Google about robotics, and that was one of the first ones where like, here's the estimate. Sorry, it's more than we normally charge. And they're like, oh, this is awesome, great.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, because you definitely would have agreed to our old price, which is like a quarter of what this is, but it's the same amount of work. So my advice is to listen to that advice. And if it looks like the client can afford it and your work will exponentially add value to their product, I say go for it.
What do you think about the advice or guidance of, what's that one that's like, if you do like find a hobby that you love or something, or do it and then that becomes a job? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like if you find something you love, it's not a job, or I can't remember how to turn a hobby. I feel like I'm getting close.
I was just leaning. I'm so glad I prepared for this episode, because I have a quote from an audio quote, because I pulled audio and I put it in a folder and we can play it on the show and record it.
Oh.
So anyway, this is for Brian Carson, who he started off as a school teacher, and then he's like 27, got into design, and then he, like Ray Gun magazine back in the day, he did all these like huge kind of grungy type layouts, and nobody had really done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Does really, really, really cool work. And I have a clip of him talking about the kind of person that should be in design. And what were you just talking about? I'm so dumb.
It was the find a hobby or a passion. No, it's like a passion or a pastime.
Yeah.
And turn it into a job, or if you find a job that you love is not a job. It's something in that area.
It's like if you turn your passion into your career.
It's something like that, and I'm wondering what you think of that one, because like a lot of people's passion is to just sit and do nothing. You can't turn that into a job.
My thought in it genuinely is be careful, because your passion as a job may suck. and it may ruin that passion for you.
Oh,
Or
that's
the ability to do that passion every day and get paid for it could be the greatest thing ever. It's tough.
And I agree, and I think I tend to see that a lot on the old Twitter sphere of illustrators and more traditional graphic designers, like so talented, and you can see that they want to do the stuff that they just want to do.
Yeah, like
their own stuff, but you got to pay a bill. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna work on this stupid thing.
Yeah, it's
Go
tricky.
listen to feedback.
Like before I designed, I would draw and paint and do all kinds of stuff. Now, when I draw, in my head, I have to treat it like a project. It's like, okay, this has to have a beginning and an end. And what am I using this drawing for? And like I get into project mode, where it's like I really have a tough time just enjoying drawing for the sake of doing it, because I feel like, well, if this isn't going to amount to anything, then what's the point of doing this? Where it's just like, well, you should just do it for fun. Like you watch a movie and just draw and just hang out. But it's so in that my desire to be a creative person just for fun went into a career, and now being creative on my own time stresses me out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So now I play Far Cry New Dawn.
Yeah, I definitely don't draw as much as I used to, but when I do, like last time I did, it was on the ferry, and I just drew for the whole trip ride, and what came out of it was just this weird random object thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, I really enjoyed that. But I felt pressure that that it has to be at a certain level, or else it's just dog shit.
And you can't leave it half done.
No,
you'll never get back to it.
I had to finish it.
Yeah.
And then I'm never going to touch it again. And that's it. It's over.
So what I think happened is, with me anyway, is like I would make stuff just for the sake of making stuff. And now in this job, I find it hard to do that. But I think what the job did is it appeals to the problem solving part of my brain, which I think is much stronger than the creative part of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is something it's really hard to turn off.
Right.
Like once you're a professional problem solver, then all of a sudden you're paid for 8 hours just to think of shit that solves problems for other people through words and pictures and stuff. It's hard not to point that inwards all the time too.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, if I never got into design, I'd probably be painting and, I don't know, working in a skate shop or something, just making not a bunch of money. Not like I'm making a bunch of money now, but
playing grip tape.
Yeah,
Yes.
just doing like rad grip tape jobs. And that would be fulfilling just because it's pure joy.
No.
So it's weird.
Yeah.
I know, but
did you have the audio clip?
yeah.
Radio?
So this is Brian Carson, fancy design man, talking about the type of person that should be a designer, and also doing what you love for a living.
I think that it continues to be an issue. There's many people and designers who are very, very proficient at all the programs and every kind of technology out there, but that won't guarantee you that you'll be a good designer.
What are you looking for in a young kid that comes to you, hey, David, I want to be a graphic designer? What are you looking for them in them?
Well, an innate design sense, probably having the eye, for lack of a better word. They get it. They know that this looks better than that. That's in there, and equally, if not more so, a passion for the field that it just comes naturally to them. They eat it, breathe it, watch it. I've always felt I make my living from my hobby, and it doesn't feel like work. And Marshall McLuhan, who I did a book with a few years ago, has this great quote where he says, if you're totally involved in something, it's no longer work. It's play or leisure, he calls it. And I think that's really true. If you're kind of being forced into something, or you're not really enjoying it, or you're bored, that's work. But if I want somebody in graphic design who is not watching the clock, just can't walk by a bookstore without scanning the covers, or a CD store, or is just aware of their environment and is just drawn to the field naturally. And if you're not, it's going to be difficult because there are too many people in our field who are.
That is phenomenal.
Pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
Wait, the quote or the fact that I could pull out audio and play it on the show and record
just
it?
the audio. I don't give two shits about the
fuck
quote.
you, bro. Nah, never mind. Yeah,
it's something that I don't think about often, and I like. Okay, so while we design and problem solve and critically think Monday to Friday,
yeah,
there's a part of me that tries to shut that off outside of work, because I'm like, I don't want to be one of those people who sees something and like just critiques it.
Yeah.
Or takes a photo of it. Look at this garbage bullshit, which I've never done. I don't think I have. And so I do try and like separate it, but then naturally you're just somewhere and you see like a poster at a bus stop. Like there was one I saw not that long ago, and it was just like a black poster with a circle, like native art, like Haida art. It was just all in red, like a very vibrant red. And I just stopped and I took a picture. I was like, that's so cool. And so there's moments where you embrace your career and your job. You're like, oh shit, I am ingrained in that. I can't get rid of that thought.
Yep.
But you try and separate it and just empty your mind for a while. But it's so hard to. Yeah, that's just an amazing little snippet.
Yeah, it was great. I really like in the beginning, I forgot he said that, just about there are people that are proficient with tools.
Oh yeah.
And then there were people, I think previous in the interview or something else I read that he was saying is like, in the absence of tools, the designers are going to continue to make shit.
Yes. The instructor who taught myself how to use Photoshop and Illustrator.
Yeah.
She was a certified Adobe expert. And all that means is that she knows how to use the tools.
Yeah, and she paid Adobe to get certified.
Right, but in terms of artistic eye, she had nothing.
Yeah.
And so I would create stuff that she would look at it and go, how did you do that? I said, what do you mean? That's just using the same tools, but I have a better eye than you do.
Yeah.
I never said that, but...
But it's that, for me, the design is not just solving a problem, but organizing the solution.
Mm-hmm.
So people like, it's a design is a problem solved. It's like, you can solve, like you can screw in a new light bulb, and while you're doing it, you can piss your pants and there'll be piss all over the floor. Be like, what? I changed a light bulb. It's like, yeah, but you did it in a gross, stupid way. It's like solving the problem in like a tidy manner where if somebody comes back to this solution in like 5 years and like, oh, they showed their work, they organized the solution, it's still working. Like, for me, part of the fun is making the whole package very tidy.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when I do like a brand presentation, I'll do a brand platform, and it's a huge research piece, and I do tons of writing. And then, I do a unique layout for everyone that I do that reflects what I think the client's all about, which it eats up time, but I feel that is part of the ride the clients are buying,
mm-hmm.
is that special attention. And then the design, I mean, these documents can be like 45 pages long, and it's not like a PowerPoint where I just like read the slide. Like, a lot of them are like, here's a bunch of cool shit I found,
mm-hmm.
or, these 5 statements I think make up your company, and then like lead them into, and then this is a tagline, and this is this, and this is a visual that I like, and just make them part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't remember the last time I just showed a logo, like 15 years ago. I would be like, here, I made you a logo. Like, I need the process as much as they need to walk down that path with me when I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because, like, even at home or walking around with Ryan or the kids or whatever, I'll just constantly spot shit. And what I just realized is, you were just talking about like being in the world and seeing like really nice, like a nice design and being like, oh, that's really cool. And there's like shitty design everywhere. There's so much bad design that it's almost like that's common.
Mm-hmm.
That's the common, and I don't care. I never criticize any design in the world because what the fuck? I don't like what constraints were on that person. Are they any good? Is this just like hopping on a trend and making a few dollars? I have no idea. What really bugs me is when people fuck up the content. Because that, with the absence of content, it's just, I think Mike Montero said, I have it written somewhere, in the absence of content, design is just decoration.
Right.
So you could have a bus ad that just has words on it, and if the words are well written, that ad will work.
Yeah.
You could design it, and that's fine, but it's not making it necessarily more effective. It's making it more appealing. But the message and the content, I feel, is the big part of it, and that's hard to convince a lot of clients or coworkers that we can't just design empty boxes and fill it with meaningful stuff later. Why can't we start with the meaningful stuff? And that's a hard one for me. But
right, I know for me years ago when I was first entering into the world, you would have frustrations with like an app or a service, and you're like, I'm going to redesign it because I know better.
Yeah,
and I think I did maybe 2 what they call unsolicited redesigns for people who don't know. And you're just like thinking that you know better.
Yeah.
And you have no data, you have no understanding, and you're like, fuck yeah, this is the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
And then you post it to some site, and you're like, fuck yeah, I'm the coolest piece of shit out there. And then when you actually work on stuff, it's just so much more complex and compromising of like other things to consider, that as you get into it more and you see stuff in the world, you might get frustrated at like an app interaction or something that you think you could do better. And then you're like, whatever, move on.
That's exactly it. I mean, when Dribbble is like the mecca for designing within your own bubble.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people do realize, and some don't, is you're in your bubble until you shake the client's hand. And once they reach their hand into your bubble, that shit pops. And your bubble's gone. You're now in their world. So I mean, late last year, I was redesigning an email app because it's like, this one's kind of sloppy. And I was just for my own whatever. And it wasn't just redesigning. I'm reimagining how I would use an email app.
Right.
Because I don't like using email. I barely get any email. So I was designing something not for like the email power user, like a lot of the apps out there. It's like, oh, you can hit on their avatar and all their contact information comes up, and their LinkedIn, and we pull in all their accounts and whatever. It's like, I don't need that. I need something clean and cool looking that I can use to reply to like 5 emails a day.
Right.
So like a very light email, which
something like that has come out, and I should share it with you once I remember what it's called.
I would like to see that.
It's I can't even remember now, but it's something like that has come out where it's the most primitive email client I've seen.
Yeah.
I think it's free. Most of them charge a side rant, but
yeah.
What about, and this one I think for us holds different than some other design trades, but we still use it, is like 10,000 hours to become an expert.
Malcolm Gladwell thing.
Yeah, but the practice. You miss all the shots you don't take, Wayne Gretzky.
Carnegie Hall.
Because I know for trade like the DeBell brothers, like them practicing letters, sheets and sheets and sheets of letters, practicing that was part of it. But for us and our dumb digital stuff, we still practice, but it's in a different form.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the daily practice of what we do.
Yeah, and it's funny, just in the speed that we can perform our work, like the computer just makes it faster, like for the most part. So,
but you can also, as somebody's pitching you an idea or telling you about something, I don't know if you're like myself, where your brain starts piecing components together.
Oh yeah.
Before you even put a pencil to paper with an idea, and they're telling you stuff, you're like, I've got an idea in my head. They're like, really? You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's because you've been doing it long enough. You can see it. It's easy.
Yeah. What I always do in a meeting is I never bring a laptop if I'm not presenting anything.
Mm-hmm.
I bring my notebook, and I just basically stream of consciousness, like you saw my notes for the show. It's just like, oh, there's a thing. And then as they're talking, be like, is this a thing? maybe blue, maybe whatever. And then all of a sudden I'm just have like my stream of consciousness feeding off of theirs. And all of a sudden it's just like, when I can look at it in 2 days, this is my honest reaction to everything they said. And there's something valuable in there.
Well, I know that you'd worked on a branding project for a client. Correct me if I'm wrong. That the client came by your old office and you just had a big notepad or like big piece of paper and started sketching stuff, and the sketch ended up being the brand.
Yeah, I brought in it's like 18 by 24 sketchbook,
right?
And I'd sketched out a bunch of ideas for logo, all within kind of the same vein. And they're, high revenue company. And I walked in and I was like, okay, so this is what we're doing. This is what I came up with. Grab a pencil and then just, mark things you like. If you have questions, it'll just be like a collaboration thing. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. We'll go through it. Like a few people in the meeting were into it. And then at the end of it, the boss, the manager, head of whatever, he's like, you know what? I'm going to be totally honest. When you came in with that sketchbook, I thought, wow, we just wasted a lot of fucking money, because why is he bringing a drawing to me? And then he said, but by the end of it, I had never felt more heard, and I'd never had that kind of back and forth with the person making the thing and seeing it in real time. He's like, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm leaving this meeting so confident that what we're going to see next is going to be it. And it was.
Right. A couple of the people I work with were down recently at a branding conference, the under consideration group. It was like it was a conference for companies to show off, or like agencies to show off their pitch deck, like for a brand.
Yeah.
From what I gathered from the people that went, they wish they'd heard more about like what went wrong, more than like this was successful. Yeah, because the fuck ups are what people learn from. But the takeaways that were really interesting to hear. One note was about your like 45-page display of screen. One agency had worked with some horse racing group, and they basically rented out a art studio or an art gallery and walked the client and all the shareholders through it. And it was like, here's your brand. And they had like silk flags printed, and they created an app with the brand, and it was like a full experience. And everybody was like,
that's a big move.
It is.
If they don't like it.
And it went through, but it's a lot to go through. The other thing that they had talked about that mentioned was, after a brand presentation, was not letting the client leave immediately. Yeah. It's like, don't let them leave without talking about stuff. Like, don't just present it and then be like, thanks, let us know what you think. Yeah. But it was to force them to stay in the room. Like, let's talk about the good, the bad, and let's just hash shit out. And that's kind of like what you did with the notepad, live and in person, without a full presentation. And that tends to work a lot better in getting buy-in, because while you know what the goal is, where you see the vision, it's hard to get somebody to understand it with just some like still pictures.
Yeah. And for me, like after being in, 900 client meetings, whatever it is at this point, you get to learn people's faces, the words they get tripped up on, and that kind of shit don't translate in email. So it's like, I can tell every time I say this word, like, you crinkle your eyebrows and you look at the paper hoping that you understand what I'm saying, because you may be too proud or maybe embarrassed to say, I don't know what that is. And I'll see it and just be like, so for everybody in the room that doesn't know, whatever, this is this and this is this. And then you can see their face relax, and they're like, oh, good. Like, I didn't have to lower myself to ask a question, because some people are like that. But it's that the people skills is such a big part of it. Like, selling the work. Like, if you can sell a logo for like 30 grand, it's a little picture. Like, that's not easy to do. Yeah. So, and a lot of people don't know the value of that little picture.
Yeah. And so all that does come from practice. And just years of, and that was something I encountered too just recently, pitching an idea to a client of whatever, the flow of a page. And I could see I was losing him
Yeah.
halfway through. And I realized I was like, you know what? From his facial reaction and kind of body language, my guess is that they've already invested a bunch of time.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should continue to suggest something.
Yeah.
I think we should just work with a different game plan, something that'll impress them. And my hunch is that's going to be correct, but I haven't tested it yet. But you learn that.
Yeah.
So practice makes perfect.
And it's really another clip I have that we can play in a second is that difference between the design and the art, which is the design is solving a problem and creating value, and art is creating a thing and trying to elicit a response, just whatever that is. But throughout the design process, like so much of it is it's a consultation, and a lot of these people don't know why they're there, and they don't know what you know, and they don't know if what you're saying is even right, and that's totally fair. So I mean, the art is making a thing and hoping and wanting people just to like it for what it is. But I mean, the design never happens in that vacuum that we all would like it to, where we just make all the right answers and whatever. Because anytime you see a bad design, there's likely a client who is more comfortable with something kind of bad looking, because a lot of things are kind of bad looking. So they're like, well, this is normal to me. I'm doing a project right now, which is a giant leap for the company, that just tone and style and vibe and all that. And I'm walking them through. They're like, if you start writing marketing speak for this, it's going to die.
Yeah.
So go write something that you think would be insane to write to try to attract clients, and then we'll go from there. And they're like, okay, I don't know about that. And basically, the effectiveness of the project is predicated on my ability to bring who I'm working with to the place I think they need to be. And if I can't get them all the way there, then the work will be, that % good as it could have been in my mind. And it's not just I want to make beautiful work, because I don't really give a shit, because none of it's for me. I want to make effective work that makes a client money, because that's why they're here. And then for me, that's the problem solved. That's good. It's like you had a low performing product, or you had a well performing product that you wanted to perform even better. And I can make pictures to make that happen. And that's for me the win, which is also when I was talking about earlier, like just being creative for the sake of being creative on my own time. I have completely lost whatever style I thought I had, because I've done like from each end of the spectrum, like every style for branding, websites, print, whatever. And now I don't know what I make anymore, because I make everything. But it's fine. I don't care.
Could you imagine if you tried to come up with a brand for yourself, how long that would take?
I would either take a half hour, or it would never get done.
Or 2 years.
Yeah, it would literally be like when I used to redesign my personal site, I'd give myself you have 4 hours to design and build the site.
Right.
And then if I didn't get it done, I just wouldn't launch it. It just has to happen now, and it has to get out.
Right.
Because it'll just absolutely take forever.
So what is this other audio clip that you have compiled?
There are actually two.
I love that we have alternative media.
Isn't it cool?
Now. Yeah.
We're so modern.
I feel like we are
showed Man
actually
Rant.
sponsored by somebody.
Sponsored by Man Rant. Hashtag stuff. So this one is John Maeda.
John Mayer?
Yep. He has some very nice things to say about my body.
Ooh.
He says it's a wonderland just for him. John Maeda, I forget where he works, but this was from the design documentary that Envision made a couple of years ago.
Not the most recent one on design systems.
No, it's about creativity and all that kind of stuff. So
Ooh,
forget the name of it, but that's okay, because I didn't actually watch the whole thing. I watched the trailer, and this is from the trailer. But yeah, so this is talking about the difference between problem solved with design and art being art. Dramatic.
Art and design are completely different. Art is about making questions. Design is about making solutions. So in art, you can make something that doesn't make any sense, which is okay. In design, you have to make sense.
He can't be the first person to have come up with that thought.
No, that is like the most classically what I would consider like a cop-out answer. Like art creates questions, like, or it's just like, oh, that looks rad, I want it. Or like,
yeah, but what is art though?
Exactly.
I've seen where people will leave like a pile of garbage and sunglasses in the middle of a museum just as like a test, and they'll put a little like just organize it, and they'll just sit back and watch people like stand and look at it and take pictures of it thinking it's art. It's like, well, that didn't raise any questions. So it's just like, what? I guess saying what the fuck is this is a question.
So that happened to me. Well, in a way that I made that happen. We went to like an art gallery thing in the fall, and they had all these like huge blocks, and anybody could just build a thing out of it.
So Lego.
It was all cardboard though, and it didn't stack very nice. But anyway, one of the people we were with just started building it, and then the other people just kind of walked away, and then I stood back from him holding my drink with like my hand to my chin, just like looking at him like intently to see if other people would start to gather to because they thought I was watching art.
Right.
And 4 people came and stood right beside me and just kept watching. And then the guy built the tower. He was drunk and it all fell over. He's like, oh, well. And I was just like, I clapped my hands and I just walked away, and people were like, nice. I was like, fucking like, which is fun.
I think there's a side of art where people want to get it and they want to understand it, but some days there's nothing to get.
So the other audio clip I have is from Joshua Davis, who, if you don't know who he is, he created like Pray Station back in the day.
Is that
It's not the Christian Miracle Network, whatever that article was from. It's
the Christian gaming system.
Yeah,
Pray Station.
So it's all like generative action scripting is how it started. And he made all this like random crazy shit.
Those games would be so bad. I'm sorry. Now I want to make a Pray Station.
There were some Christian games back in the day.
Yeah, there's like Noah's Ark and I can't remember. There's a few Bible. I'm sorry.
No. So Joshua Davis had this thing called Pray Station. I actually have the tattoo, that his logo, that little PS right there.
Oh, that's what that is. I thought it was a Photoshop logo.
No. So it got me into the like what's possible with design. So he creates these like patterns, feeds them like chaos theory math, and just generates them until he finds what's called like the perfect accident or whatever it's called, or the beautiful moment, whatever
I believe
it is.
Bob Ross would call it a happy accident.
A happy little accident.
Yeah.
This little rabbit has a prolapsed butthole, but I keep him in my shirt pocket. So anyway, Joshua Davis makes his living kind of as an artist, but he's a designer. He works for like BMW. He works for like tons of different stuff, but doing his art. But rather than the last clip, which is like, art creates questions. Like, fucking why? Art is nice stuff in the eye. It makes you feel a certain, but design can do that too. It's just one's like transactional and one is, it goes into the world, and if it's accepted, cool. If not, then, it's cool. They'll make more art. But Joshua Davis, who I would consider an artist, had this to say about the distinction, which I thought was good advice for anybody wanting to get real artsy with their design.
I've liked the label as designer more than artist because I make things for people. I do large-scale installations that require the participant in order for the artwork to come alive.
Mm-hmm. So for him, it's design because what I took from it is the problem he's trying to solve is to get people interacting with this thing instead of just looking at art, being a part of it. And then for him, like with his installations, it is interactive. If he doesn't design an intuitive system for them to interact with, then the art sucks because nobody can use the art.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's interesting to think that his thought of questions was just for himself.
Yeah.
For people to enjoy it.
Yeah. But they can't enjoy it unless he designs the experience in a way that allows them to enjoy it.
Right. Yeah, because you can create an interactive art installation that's just cool. It doesn't raise questions. Now I'm really upset about that question.
It's annoying, isn't it? And
yeah. At first you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. And then as you think about it, you're like, wait a minute.
That's just bullshit.
I think I'm that person at the art gallery who's sitting next to the other person who's like, and that's just what happened.
Strong choice.
Okay, this guy's looking at something. I should look at it.
But yeah, it's amazing how many quotes from graphic designers have that exact same distinction. And, art creates an emotional response and design creates it gets you to buy something that you didn't know you wanted or whatever. But that all seems very anecdotal. Like, you can design something that makes people feel good, and it could make them want to buy something, and you kind of get both. So, I mean,
you know what? You know what it is? It's a painting of a man in a boat, and it represents the man searching for himself who's lost his wife, or maybe it's just a painting of a fucking guy in a boat.
I think you're one step away from cutting off your fucking
ear.
That's two Goodwill Huntings. Got that, Chief? That's where he paints him against the wall. So anyway, my thought on the art versus design thing is, for me anyway, art is something you make before anybody asks for it, and design is something you make because somebody needs it.
Because somebody could pay you for an art installation.
But to me, that's design. Because if they're
what was your design definition again? Sorry.
Design is work you create that other people have requested. So when people commission a painting,
right,
often they'll say, we like your paintings over here that represent this and have these colors. We'd like something like that.
So
then you're designing.
So you don't consider that art.
I consider what they did to create to bring them to the point where the design transaction is happening. That was art. That made them feel like they wanted a personalized piece of that. But once you start personalizing it to yourself, and something that another person is making, they're designing it for you.
I think it's like a gravy type form between the two words, so they can kind of
crystal gravy
go back and forth. Yes. Did they use Van Halen for that one?
Right now, yeah.
I think it a little bit bleeds into the other one from time to time, but I think they're the possibly art students, or I don't know, other people might tell you it's distinctly different, and that I am an artist, not a designer.
And it's going to be completely
I would never consider a website art.
No,
ever.
But there are people that do, and fine. I don't really give a shit. Some people hate cilantro. I'm fine with it. Some people love it.
Some people would call a bridge a piece of art if it's so nice, or building art because it's so nice. But the person who made it might not.
It's not called architecture.
It's called design-catecture.
So
in terms of advice for careers, I think we've covered a lot. Did you have more bad ones? Because I didn't have too many bad ones that don't really apply anymore.
I have a few bad ones. We'll go through quick.
Are we running out of time?
Well, we're going to take a quick break and then come back and talk shit on some designer quotes and then wrap it up.
Sounds good.
So a few, don't make things too precious. I've had this from so many people that don't put research into work or prepare. And it's like, oh, just change it. It's fine. I was like, the rationale, I need rationale. I can't just on a whim be like, make it blue, because that's going to make it worse. And I've demonstrated why. And I'm not in love with my idea. I'm standing behind the reasons why it's here. And I'm completely open to a discussion, and we can change it, but it just changing it on a whim bothers me because there's no thought behind it. It's just how you feeling that day.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong challenging somebody.
Nope.
To get them to further explain them I don't like it, or I'd like to change, or what have you, to ask why.
Yeah.
And then if there's not a valid reason and you can't have an open conversation about it, then it's not happening.
That's one of my favorite things with younger UI designers is they're like, and then you hit this and this opens. And I say, and then what happened? And they say, well, then you read the page. I was like, well, then what happened? They're like, well, you get to the bottom. I'm like, then what happened? They're like, well, then you go back to the top and you find a new link. I was like, why? I was like, why don't you just put something useful in the page? They're like, oh, it's just that.
Yeah.
Then what happened? So that's one. Another one, just make it sexy. I had a guy that would insist I would put a hot chick. I'm using air quotes, which you can see.
We'll do audio air quotes.
And he insisted I put a hot chick in the designs, all the ones he wanted, because just make it sexy, because he thought that would sell.
I had a client ask. I just had some generic human illustrated characters interacting with stuff, and the client said, "Yeah, if we could just go ahead and reduce the BMI on those ladies, that would be great." And I said, "Okay," and didn't, and just ignored that. And then they'd be like, "As soon as this client's done, I'm out of here. Like, this is fucked."
So yeah, there's just a big laundry list of crap advice you've heard in the past. But yeah, I mean, even bad advice works because it kind of tells us what not to do.
If you know somebody who's done something, like been through experience and fucked up and learned and is trying to tell you something, listen to them.
Yeah.
It's worth it. There's nothing worse than giving somebody advice that's come from experience and they do the opposite.
Yep.
And then they're like, "Well, what happened?" Like, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Yep. And speaking of not talking anymore, we'll be back in a few minutes.
Body break.
Bonk. Hal Johnson, Joanne McLeod.
Yeah.
American commerce that you deal with are companies that don't deal with aesthetics. You see?
So what are you saying in essence?
What I'm saying is
that money is the most important thing?
No, I'm not dealing with money yet. I'm dealing with what a designer has to be concerned about. What I'm saying is that aesthetics are your problem and mine, nobody else's. The fact of the matter is, I want everything we do, that I do personally, that our office does, to be beautiful. I don't give a damn whether the client understands that that's worth anything, or whether the client thinks it's worth anything, or whether it is worth anything. It's worth it to me. It's the way I want to live my life. I want to make beautiful things, even if nobody cares, as against ugly things. Now, sometimes you can't make everything beautiful because that's my intent. And I'm willing to pay for that. Now, that's where money comes in, because you can get much more quickly to an answer if you don't worry about those things. It costs every designer money to make it beautiful, because it means you have to spend more time. You have to futz with it, you have to noodle, you have to push, you have to pull, you have to try, you have to do, and that's all money. You're eating up your budget.
That's true.
But that's a commitment that you either make or you don't make. Now, there are a lot of firms, a lot of designers who just do the work and get paid and make a buck and are happy.
Right.
And there are many, many designers, I would suspect more, that really do care about those things. But I think it's very important for us not to be under the illusion that anybody else cares.
I hope you enjoyed your body break.
I did. I did some wind sprints. I ran back and forth.
In the wind.
Yeah, which is what it's currently doing. That's just the weather now on the coast. Wind.
Yep. Speculation tax, local barbecue, local weather. Yeah, if you want local weather 2 weeks ago, check out the show.
Yeah. The 7-day forecast is a balmy 24 degrees. With
Damn balmy.
10% chance of rain.
So, what we want to do now is I grabbed a bunch of quotes. We'll just run through them. Some of them require a lot less discussion than others because they're just either correct or wrong.
I mean, they're no Jerry King moments.
This isn't the King's Court. We don't have a lot of
King's Corner.
King's Corner.
Yeah. No, that's a wrestling thing. Never mind.
King Ralph.
Jerry
Ralph's
the,
like puking.
Jerry the King Lawler used to have King's Corner. It was like weird interview.
Remember. He's a charmer. So, yeah, these are quotes, advice that struck me as dumb or great or whatever. One that I heard from not a designer, from a music making man, Jack White from the Raccoon Tours, as he's most
previously from the White Stripes.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and then other bands and other stuff. He was on that Mark Maron podcast, and because he used to be like a furniture refinisher when he was younger.
Yeah, apparently.
And then he was talking about making music and just how his music's pretty like stripped down. And he said a stool only needs 3 legs to stand up. And I never forgot it for whatever reason. But he's like, most stools have 4 legs on them because it's the illusion of stability. So people think they won't fall over if they have 4, but it just needs 3.
Right. So it's an interesting quote.
Yeah.
Where I take beef from the source.
Beef?
What's your beef? That's a callback to all you CBC watchers from the 90s.
Beef heads?
Was it Street Sense? Yeah.
Grinds my gears.
Way to go, memory. Is because in his earlier-ish days, he strived to play old instruments and older tube amps just because they were difficult to play. And it's like, but you made an effort to do that.
Yep.
So it's like you didn't just pick it because that's all you could afford and that was the bare minimum. You made an effort to source that stuff out and make it difficult for yourself because that was just what you wanted to do.
Well, so he thought the struggle had a sound to it.
Yeah, but now he doesn't play any of that old shit.
Nope.
So where did that Jack White go?
He made more money.
Exactly. Wow.
Buy more skin bleaching cream and basically whatever Michael Jackson was using up until the end, God rest his soul, hair blackening and skin whitening.
That's what Jack White uses.
He looks like an ill child that is aged. Is it progeria is a thing that ages children a lot?
Yes, that's a wonderful little medical callback. Wait, it's not a callback.
Shout out to
next quote.
All right, Milton Glaser. He's the designer you'll remember from our Jeopardy episode that was
so popular
and poorly recorded
and 8 hours long.
Yep. I think Miles, our guest on that one, got this one correct. Milton Glaser, the guy that designed the I Heart New York logo. I think he designed like the AT&T logo. He's just done tons of shit.
I was really hoping mid sentence there you were about to say A-Team logo.
That was it wasn't a good logo. Better van than a logo.
Yeah.
So he said there are 3 responses to a piece of design: yes, no, and wow. Wow is the one to aim for. Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, you're never going to get wow on a small piece. Like, here's an important update. Wow.
Yeah, wow. It's like great.
Yes.
Text update, but that's spoken from an old school dude who would do big work, like compact work for big clients. So I think that world can bear more wows than, especially if you're involved in UI design. By the time you get to the About Us page, the fucking client is ready to murder everybody.
What I'm doing here, which is wrong, is I'm analyzing these as if they're Jerry King quotes, and I'm picking them apart.
All right.
I should come at these at the better, further away view. So I agree. I like both these, actually.
We need a king sweep. We got to sweep king out. We got bad juju.
Sweep. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, okay, all better. Yeah, I mean, aiming for WoW. Yeah, of course. But
yes,
if you think it's WoW and they still say yes and they don't say WoW, I think that's still a win.
I'll elaborate on this and saying that it goes a distance for you to show excitement for something that's not yours. So while you designed it,
that's a good
it's
point.
not yours.
Yeah.
So you can be excited about the potential of their brand or the potential of whatever you've created and sharing that excitement so that they're feeling your wow as well.
Yeah. Like I feel like a chef that when they make the entree and they send it out, they like peek through the little window because they want to see
and they're like
the customer enjoying
like
it. And when they bite it and they smile like, ooh, that's really good. I'm like, yeah, fucking yeah. Like I made it good for you. When I go home, I make different food, but here
we craft dinner, but here we make the good shit.
It's bespoke dinner. Next one is from David Carson. He's the dude that had the clip earlier about
the tools
and technical prowess, but if you can't,
got an eye.
Yeah. So anyway, he does cool work, and he has good quotes like advice as well for all you fucking people who say, as graphic designers, we can save the world. Like, then work for free. Don't charge. Only work for UNICEF. Fucking self-righteous idiot. Anyway, I have no opinion of that. David Carson says graphic design will save the world right after rock and roll does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Rock and roll related, I recently saw a clip, and I'm torn on how I feel about this clip. And it was at either Prophets of Rage / Rage Against the Machine concert.
Yeah.
And Tom Morello, the guitarist, was playing, and the bunch of people on stage.
Prophets of Rage Against the Machine Head. That's 3 bands.
Prophets of Rage Against the Machine of Audio Slave. Could be going. And they had a bunch of people from the audience on stage and rocking out with the band. And there was somebody in the front who tried to take a selfie video or a photo with Tom Morello. And
that'll go
solo,
well.
he grabbed the guy's phone and just launched it into the crowd and continued playing. And when I first saw it, I was like, fuck yeah, that's rock and roll. And I was like, oh man, that's some guy's phone. Like, that sucks. But that's rock and roll.
But don't take a selfie in front of Tom Morello.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I think rock and roll has a much bigger impact on changing the world than graphic design ever will.
But neither will save it.
Like,
it'll just make the demise a little prettier to listen to.
Nobody fills a Wembley Stadium to see a website.
Not yet.
They fill it to see Queen and other bands. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe the Beatles or something.
Yeah.
Here, you know this next guy. Why don't you read it?
This is Chip Kidd. He is, I consider an influential book cover designer. Because
it says Chip Kidd's U.S. book designer behind some of Penguin's most iconic book covers.
Yeah, it's one of those designers that the work goes unnoticed because it's so out there. Not so out there, but like it's in a lot of places. And I've watched a few of his talks, and the deep dive of some of his designs are really, really interesting. But then some of his simple designs are even just as interesting in how he created stuff. Anyways.
That's cool. I hadn't heard of this guy before ever, like most of these people.
Yeah.
I used to like read about graphic design all the time, and I used to know tons of names and stuff. Now almost every name on this is like new to me, which makes me just want to start reading about it again because I do find it interesting. Also, when I saw the photo of Chip Kidd, the way he dresses strikes me like Angus from AC/DC. Right. He dresses like him. It'd be like if Angus from AC/DC that had a brother that was like a convicted pedophile.
Okay. That's kind of fair.
Yeah.
It would be the person in the family that everybody's like, what's up with that guy?
Yeah.
At the barbecue, like, tell me the story on that guy.
So he's coaching the baseball team, but he doesn't have a kid on it?
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to bring this rant offline. Anyways, so I won't get into Chip Kidd's work because you can look it up. He has TED Talks up the Wazoo that you can watch. So his quote is, "Never fall in love with an idea. They're horrors." It's really great. If the one you're with isn't doing the job, there's always another. Right.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because one idea might be great, but you got to keep going.
It's not your last good idea.
No.
Yeah.
Give it 5 minutes.
All right. Yeah. Yeah,
that's
I
a good
enjoyed
one.
that one.
Yeah, because you can get so siloed into one idea or one concept that you just like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
But then you got to go try 20 other to come back and be like, that was the right one.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to always work on that. 'Cause I'm always like, in the meeting, I know what I want to do. My research backs it up. I do it. It feels correct. And then I don't explore other options. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Lots of times I'll sketch all over and try all kinds of shit. But there are times where I'm just like, you feel the road has been paved just for you. And you know it's a straight line.
I like to wear out an idea where the first concept feels the strongest. But I'm like, but what if it was all these others? And then it's like, nope. I proved myself out. And then that way, if anybody ever asks, what about this? Like, I can tell them no, because I did it. I did it.
So the next one is from Paola Antonelli. She's an Italian author, editor, and curator. And this one drove me absolutely nuts. Designers may be the true intellectuals of the future.
That is dumb.
So what she's saying in all of her wisdom is, creative problem solvers who are intelligent will be smart in the future. Aside from history, which has been formed by people that are intelligent and creative.
Is she painting designers with a broad paintbrush?
A very favorable paintbrush. Because
I don't agree with this at all.
No, this one's bullshit.
And this doesn't require any more thought.
All right, you read the next one. We'll just go one for one.
Kevin Finn he's the director of Sum 41. Nope. Director of The Sum of.
The Sum of 41.
And founder of Open Manifesto Journal. Kevin Finn says, as designers, we are in the service industry, but that does not mean we need to be servile. Is that right? Did
Servile. Yeah.
I've never used that word before. Continues to say, clients are looking to us for guidance and expertise. We should lead them and not be bullied. Well, of course.
Yeah.
You sometimes have to take them by the hand to share your expertise and knowledge and industry knowledge and stats and all that stuff.
Yeah, and this takes the client or the customer's always right and kicks it squarely in the dick. But it doesn't mean you just leave them in the dust. It's your job to make them feel smart and valued and heard the entire way through.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, design in general isn't in the same realm of building a house, but you wouldn't just tell the contractor how to do their job.
No.
You would talk to them, say, I'm wondering if we can expand this space, and they go, sure, and it'll cost this much more, but we can do it. And you trust their expertise. Yeah. So it applies.
Next one, David Pearson, a book designer behind. Is that another one?
Yeah, that, and then you wrote R at the end of it.
Oh, he must be a pirate.
Too much cannabis for you.
No, it's only right before bed for me, which is when I do some of my best writing for the show.
Sleep.
He says, David Pearson says, you have the power as a designer to change the relationship someone has with an object. Your challenge is to keep people looking. Build in those little details. To some people, they might mean a lot.
Yeah. I like... Okay, so I like that for the fact it's always fun to put in little details.
Yeah.
I enjoy the little like of it. One of the clients we were working with, they just put out, or they updated some product images of their cannabis capsules.
Yep.
And the first thing I thought it looked like was the sap pitch egg from Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
And I'm instantly in my head, I'm like, oh, we should find out what day Jurassic Park came out and put in an Easter egg that when you go to that product, it has the mosquito photoshopped into the product. And like the lifestyle image is the doctor with the stick.
That'd be good.
And it plays music in the background, like from a PC speaker.
Yeah.
But I know that'll never happen because it's not in scope and hasn't been agreed upon. So little details are wonderful as long as they're paid for.
Or yeah. And there are times where I've definitely snuck stuff in that the client didn't know about. It's just something I know is there because I thought it would be funny, and I knew it wouldn't like negatively affect the product at all.
Right.
Nobody would even notice. But it's just a little thing that
it's just for you.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's a treat.
Do you want to do this one?
Yeah.
Oh God, Mike Montero. Could you write more? Oh,
Yeah.
those are tons. I thought there was one long quote.
No.
This is I'm
He
gonna
does
say
write a lot.
Alina Wheeler, author and brand designer. What is she independent or is she?
She's Queen Wein.
You only did some research. Design is intelligence made visible. Huh.
I found that to be fucking arrogant.
It's a bit pretentious.
A dumb person can make a nice thing.
Intelligence, but if you just take intelligence made visible, and I'm trying not to overanalyze this, but
Yeah.
it is very hoity-toity.
It's very elitist.
Him.
Let me guess that she made a bunch of stuff that she feels is very intelligent, which it could be very well true. It's all these big blanket statements, and we're guilty of making 2,500 of them an episode.
True,
but it's just that like I've never talked about my work and built myself up about it because it's not mine. It's the clients. They bought it. So like, well, this is a result of my my expert thinking and my critical workflow. And I'm like, no, I did my job.
Yeah.
They're happy. We're paid. We're moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
I've never thought I'm intelligent because I'm a designer. I think I make stuff and then I go home.
I mean, you're intelligent because you're an advanced human life form.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
All right, let's blast through this last grouping from the very always chipper Mike Montero.
Prolific Mike Montero, yes. Co-founder and design director of Mule Design. I saw him speak and it was great.
Who does actually the writing that his team does at Mule Design, and some of that he used to write on Medium, the design advice for beginners, or what was it? Or like design student advice.
Whatever it was.
I enjoyed those because he is a straight shooter, straight talker, got a little bit of ego.
Yeah.
But the way that him and his team write is very plain English. It's straight, it's simple, it's
and
easy to consume.
He's got some good books. If you haven't read Design as a Job or You're My Favorite Client, read them. I think they're like 200 pages. It's just real life, like always present your own work. Show up, be ready to work, make yourself invaluable. Just all these kind of like it's really like a survival, like if Bear Grylls wrote a book about how to survive a design job, it's kind of like that. It's like, don't be dumb, do clever shit.
That piece, make yourself invaluable.
Yeah.
That's how you survive. That's how you keep your job in some situations.
No, but you can still die from AIDS, no matter how invaluable you are. We almost lost Magic.
Too bad OJ didn't
make love to Magic Johnson. I agree.
That's like 2 episodes that are Magic Johnson, or maybe
he's topical. He's no longer the head of the Lakers.
Right.
So Mike Montero, we'll just run through these quick. I thought they were all good because I think he, like Mark said, he doesn't. He cuts the bullshit and just kind of gets right to it.
His talk, sorry to delay this, but his talk on how he gave that one little quick rundown of how that Facebook design ruined a certain group of people's life because it outed them before they could. And that was a really eye-opening chat.
Yeah, and he did one on
shows the dangers of design and intention.
He did one at a SF Frisco San Fran Creative Mornings, and it was just called "Fuck You, Pay Me," which was taken from Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're late, fuck you, pay me, all that stuff. And he brought his lawyer up. He's just like, I don't care that you don't like it. Fuck you, pay me. Like, we did everything we said we would. It was a good one. So first one, make sure you're consciously building the story you want to be telling, and make sure your story is compelling enough that your next client is excited to become a character in it. Which I thought, I really like that one because that's what I try to do, especially with brand projects with clients, is involve them, get them like genuinely happy to be there. Like, if you could ever be excited in a meeting, you know, get them excited to just be like, this is a big, cool thing, and we're all part of it. And I made stuff just for you, just to make you happy. And it's an aid of the brand and all that. So when you do that, I think it shows in the work, and it attracts more work like that, and that's the hope.
Yeah.
When you take the next one there, big dog.
A good designer finds an elegant way to put everything you need on a page. A great designer convinces you half the shit is unnecessary. That's great.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some truths to that.
That's years of experience that'll just be like, kill it, kill it, kill it.
A perfect example is when a company says, we want to have a blog, and the experienced designer goes, why?
Yep.
What value does it have? Do you think people are going to come to your site and read it? Trust, if you really want it, go write on Medium or Twitter. Don't put it on your site. Nobody's going to read it.
No.
Save yourself some money. Yeah.
And disappointment in yourself when you realize, oh, I'm not writing a blog.
Yeah.
Not even every 4 weeks. So next one, it's all about content, people. Design is what holds it together. It's like what I was talking about earlier. I probably had it in my mind from gathering this and also reading Design as a Job and You're My Favorite Client. And they have another one in that, I think she's a co-owner of Mule. She wrote about content writing. It was really good.
Like I'm not a strong content writer by any means, but I can appreciate good copy, and I can also recognize bad copy.
Yep, because it makes no sense, and it's wordy, flowery, poetic horseshit.
Yeah. I completely agree with this one. The next one is beware a designer who wants you to like them. Oh, more than they want you. Oh, Jesus. You know what? I fucked it up because I injected my own words into this.
I think we started thinking about the exact same person at the exact same time.
Beware a designer who wants you to like them more than they want to do good work. Yeah, they're not friends. It's just, consider it every other trade.
Yep.
You don't have, I don't know. I use house stuff because I had to use them in the recently.
I
but
always
like,
use restaurant stuff.
You wouldn't hire an electrician and like try to be their friend, or
No.
like it'd be weird if the electrician was like, "Hey, what are you doing after this?" Like, my own life. What the? How about you do the job I'm paying you for? And
yeah, but and see, I took it as like a designer that you work alongside.
Oh,
Like I took it as somebody that wants to be seen as a good designer,
right.
and wants everybody to know it, rather than just shutting the fuck up and doing their work.
Yes.
And that, my difference of interpretation bleeds a lot into personal experience. And I can tell we have different personal experience because I was thinking of one person in particular.
Oh.
The next one. Here we get to the point. Design disasters usually spring from the faulty notion that design is art, not craft. I like that because if it creates a disaster, then you didn't design it right. It's like you just said, it's like a trade. It's like a craft. It's a thing that you're able to do. It's not ta-da and here's the invoice, because if it doesn't solve a problem, it don't make no damn money. So
the value of good design is the increased possibility of success. Yeah.
That for me ties directly into estimating.
Right. So you're saying that if we design X, then your increased value, we think it'll have an increased value. Thus, our value is this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Value's relative.
Quite often, we'll have a bigger vision or a grander vision than the client will.
Yeah.
Or at least think of things that they have never thought of.
Yep.
Because they're just focused on their business. I mean, of course, at a certain level it changes, but anyways.
Yeah, and it's part of our job to let them know that we considered their success in our decisions. And it's like, you want to make a bad business decision in front of me? Go right ahead. And last one is design is a solution to a problem, but that problem is never your self-esteem. Now, all you award chasers out there paying all those hefty fees to keep these award shows in business, are you promoting your client or are you promoting yourself? Because if you're promoting yourself, there's Instagram and all kinds of places you can wax on poetic about horseshit, just like I do.
Yeah.
I follow no one and I only spew garbage into the world. But I genuinely hate when people think that their work defines them, because it's not your work. It's the client's work.
This also comes up in when you're speaking of, I think I brought it up before, of empathetic design. If you can have confirmation bias based on your own self experiences.
Yep.
And yeah, this is it. It's like it's dropping that.
Yep.
It's good. I think in the terms of career advice and day-to-day advice, there's lots of good stuff out there, but there's also a line of pretentiousness to it all that looks beyond what it is at the end of the day.
Well, it's the art,
for the most part,
creates questions and design answers them. Like, that kind of shit is just like, if you want to push something, you got to pull it. Like, it's speaking,
like this. It's
speaking like they're in the
Sphinx.
Matrix.
You know, it's the Sphinx from Mystery Men.
Oh, yeah.
If you cannot design the website will design you.
Yeah, I just watched that about 2 months ago. Again, it's still good.
Yeah, that was
fuck yourself.
That was a great character because you can create a quote and inspiration from anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you don't learn to manage your anger, and then he goes, "Let me guess, your anger will manage you." He's like, "That's what you're going to say, right?" He's like, "Not necessarily."
Exactly.
But yeah, so our advice is listen to this entire show, which you've done thus far, and glean anything you can from it, because we are offering advice as, subjective as any of the crap we read today.
And we are offering unsolicited advice.
Yeah, you didn't ask for any of this. And again, it's a free show, so you're welcome. Speaking of the free show, go to @Worst Design Show, Twitter, Instagram. Tell us if you like it, hate it. Tell us good stories. We want good stories to read on the episodes. What we do beforehand, if you don't follow us on any of the social crap, is a few days before we record an episode, we post what the topic is going to be, and we invite people to have questions, comments, stories, or whatever that we can bring up on the show. So go to Worst Design Show on social stuff and do that. worstdesignshow.com. We have all the episodes up. I'm actually going to put them all on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a thing, and why not?
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah. It's a thing, and why not?
I've seen a few on there where people just post audio only, and it's just an image for the entire duration.
Yeah, so we'll do that, and then I don't know if that'll help anybody, but maybe I'll get a few more eyeballs on their earballs.
Well, we got the playlist.
Yep, playlist. Go to worstdesignshow.com. Check out, we'll have links to the playlist every time we make them.
Yeah.
And it should be fun. But
if anything, it's just a neat way for us to discover other music.
Yeah,
ourselves.
Yeah, I was reading.
I've never heard that band.
I was reading your list, and I was like, "Wow, I haven't heard of so much of this," because I stay in my comfortable bubble of, it ranges from late 70s to early 2000s,
right.
And there's stuff peppered in from
half of it's Roxette.
Yep, and it's just joyride on a loop. We had one quick contribution from David Cusack on Instagram about the topic. The advice is, this will look great on your resume, which, as we all know, is bullshit. It's just a way of getting good work for less money.
Yeah. What do they call that? It's that, and also this is for your portfolio.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No.
It's tempting if it's an interesting thing or an interesting project, but at the end of the day, you're not getting paid for it. Take some pride.
Yep.
Brace yourself.
You want to look at your portfolio and feel good, not feel like crap. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back in a couple weeks, and until then, Marcus is going to say something.
What? No.
I don't know.
We don't have a sign off.
No, we don't.
This is new now.
I thought it'd be funny to watch you come up with something.
Keeping it real in Anytown, USA.
So until then, keeping it real in Anytown, USA. All right, bye.